Blood. That's all he could taste. The throne room was destroyed. Pillars crumbled around him. Smoke filled the air. He laid there, broken, defeated. His entire body screamed in pain. But the physical wounds? Those weren't what killed him. It was her. She stood above him. Her blade dripped with his blood. The same blade he'd given her. The same blade she swore she'd use to protect him. Now it was buried in his chest. Why? He choked out. His voice was barely a whisper. She looked down at him. Those eyes he'd loved so much. They were cold now. Empty. Why? She repeated. A small laugh escaped her lips. Did you really think I ever loved you? The words cut deeper than any sword. Around them, his enemies laughed. The nobles who'd conspired against him. The generals who'd sold him out. The council members who'd plotted his downfall. They all stood there, watching him die. But that wasn't even the worst part. Above the ruined throne room, the sky had split open. Gods descended through the rift. Actual gods. They watched with mild interest, like he was nothing more than entertainment. One of them smiled. The hero falls, just as written. Just as written? What did that mean? He tried to speak, tried to ask, but blood filled his throat. His vision blurred. She knelt beside him. For a moment, just a moment, he thought he saw something in her eyes. Regret? Sadness? No, it was nothing. Goodbye, she whispered. You played your part perfectly. His hand reached for her, one final time. She stepped back, let his hand fall to the cold stone floor. The world started fading. 10 years. 10 years of fighting together. 10 years of building a legend. 10 years of loving her. All of it. A lie. His last thought wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about the betrayal. It was simpler than that. If only I knew. If only I had more time. Darkness swallowed him whole. The gods above began to disperse. The show was over. His enemies started dividing up his territories, his wealth, his legacy. She cleaned her blade. The blood wiped away so easily, like he'd never mattered at all. But then, something happened. The world stuttered. Like reality itself had glitched. Time rippled around his corpse. The gods paused, turned back. One of them frowned. That's not supposed to happen. His body began to glow, faint at first, then brighter. The blood flowing from his wounds started moving backward, returning to his body. She stumbled back. What is this? The glow intensified. Reality bent, and then everything went white. Because sometimes, time isn't done with you yet. Sometimes, you get a second chance, and when you do, you make damn sure it counts. He gasped. Air flooded his lungs. His eyes shot open. Wait, he wasn't dead. He sat up violently, heart pounding, sweat dripping down his face. His hands went to his chest, searching for the wound. Nothing. No blood. No pain. No hole where her blade had pierced through. He looked around, frantically. This wasn't the throne room. This was his bedroom, but not his current bedroom. His old one. The one from years ago. Confusion crashed over him like a wave. The wooden furniture. The small desk by the window. The training sword hanging on the wall. He knew this place. He stumbled out of bed, rushed to the mirror. The face staring back at him made his blood run cold. He was young, 10 years younger. His face had no scars, no beard, no hardness from years of battle. This was him, before everything, before the wars, before her. No, he whispered. No, this can't be real. His eyes fell on the calendar hanging beside the mirror. The date. His heart stopped. Spring Festival, year 1247, the exact day he first met her. What is this? His voice cracked. What's happening? Memories slammed into his mind. 2 sets of them, overlapping. One timeline where he was young, innocent, about to meet the love of his life. Another where he was older, betrayed, dying on cold stone. Both felt real. Both were real. He grabbed the edge of the desk, tried to steady. Himself, time travel, regression, whatever this was, he'd gone back. 10 full years. The gods. The betrayal. Her blade in his chest. All of it hadn't happened yet. Or had it already happened? His head spun. Focus. He needed to focus. If this was real, if he truly was back in time, then he had knowledge. Power. He knew what was coming. He knew who would betray him, how they'd do it, when they'd strike. But more importantly, he remembered something else. The old sage, Master Theron, the hermit who lived in the Forgotten Mountains. In his original timeline, he'd heard about the sage's death. 3 days from now. Some accident in the mountains. At least, that's what people said. He'd never thought much about it back then. But now he knew better. There were no accidents. Not when gods pulled the strings. Master Theron had known something. Something important. Important enough to die. 4. He looked out the window. Dawn was breaking. The festival would start in a few hours. That's when he'd meet her. When she'd bump into him. Spill wine on his shirt. Laugh that perfect laugh. When he'd fall in love, his jaw clenched. Not this time. He had a choice now. A real choice. Skip the festival. Go straight to the mountains. Find the sage before he died. Whatever knowledge the old man had, he needed it. He moved quickly. Threw on traveling clothes. Grabbed his sword. The one he'd barely learned to use at this age. It felt strange in his hands. Too light. Too unfamiliar. In his memories, he was a master swordsman. But this body, this younger body, it hadn't earned those skills yet. He'd have to be careful. As he prepared to leave, something caught his eye. A letter on his desk. He picked it up. Recognized the seal immediately. An invitation to the spring festival. From the royal court. Mandatory. Attendance for all noble families. He crumpled it. Let them think what they wanted. He had 3 days. 3 days before the sage died. 3 days before the first piece of this cosmic game was removed from the board. He strapped his sword to his belt, checked his supplies. As he headed for the door, a thought struck him. What if this was a test? What if the gods were watching even now? That voice from the throne room echoed in his mind. The hero falls, just as written, just as written. Like his life was a story, a script, and if it was a script, if everything was predetermined, then him coming back. That wasn't random. Someone wanted this, expected this, maybe even planned it. His hand tightened on the door handle. Fine, let them watch. Let them think they controlled everything. He'd play along. For now. But if his life was a story, then he'd rewrite the ending himself. He opened the door. Morning light streamed in. The Forgotten Mountains were 3 days' journey north. He had no time to waste. Behind him, in the distance, festival bells started ringing. The celebration was beginning. She was probably getting ready right now. Preparing to meet him, to start the act. His chest tightened, even knowing what she'd become. What she'd do. Part of him still ached. He shook his head. Pushed the feeling down. There'd be time for emotions later. Right now, he had a sage to save, and a forbidden power to claim. He stepped out into the dawn. The game had begun. But this time, he knew the rules. The Forgotten Mountains earned their name. Jagged peaks pierced the clouds. Ancient paths crumbled beneath his feet. Most people avoided this place. The air felt wrong here. Heavy. Like reality itself was thinner. He'd been traveling for 2.5 days straight, barely stopping to rest. His younger body screamed in protest. Muscles he'd forgotten weren't trained yet ached with every step. But he pushed forward. The sage's cave was close. He could feel it. On the 3rd morning, he found it, a narrow opening in the mountainside. Easy to miss if you didn't know where to look. He'd only heard about this place in passing during his first life. Now? It felt like destiny. He entered carefully, hand on his sword. The cave went deeper than expected, winding down into the mountain's heart. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in the darkness. He recognized some of them. Divine script, the language of gods. But others? Those were different. Older. They hurt to look at. Finally, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber, and there he was, Master Theron. The sage sat cross-legged in the center, surrounded by floating books and scrolls. His eyes were closed. White hair flowed down to the stone floor. He looked peaceful. Too peaceful. "Master Theron," he called out. The old man's eyes snapped open. They glowed with an unnatural blue light. "You," the sage said. His voice echoed strangely. "You shouldn't be here. I know you're going to die," he said bluntly. "Tomorrow, they'll say it was an accident." The sage's glowing eyes widened. "How do you know this?" He stepped forward. "Because I've lived it already. I came from 10 years in the future." Silence. The floating books stopped moving. Master Theron stood slowly, studying him with those impossible eyes. "Show me your hands," the sage commanded. He held them out. The old man grabbed his wrists. Those glowing eyes intensified. "Remarkable," Theron whispered. "You bear the mark, the soul scar of a time walker." "Then you believe me?" "Belief is irrelevant. The mark doesn't lie." The sage released him. "Tell me, in your timeline, did we ever meet?" "No. You died before I knew you existed." Theron nodded slowly. "Then this is fate's correction. Or perhaps something worse." "What do you mean?" The sage turned, walked toward the chamber's far wall. "I've been running from them for decades. The gods. They want what I protect." He gestured to the symbols on the walls. "This knowledge, it predates them. Predates their entire pantheon." "What is it?" "The Primordial Script," Theron said softly. "The first language, the words that existed before creation itself." A chill ran down his spine. "The gods didn't create the world," the sage continued. "They inherited it, conquered it, rewrote it in their image. But the Primordial Script, that was written by something else, something that came before." Theron's hand traced one of the ancient symbols. "These words have power, true power, not borrowed, not granted, fundamental. The gods fear this magic, because it exists outside their control." He felt his heart racing. "Can it kill gods?" The sage turned, a sad smile on his face. "Kill them? No. Something better. It can unmake them. Unwrite their divinity, reduce them to what they were before they stole godhood." This was it. This was what he needed. "Teach me," he demanded. Theron shook his head. "It takes decades to master, lifetimes even. We don't have that kind of time." "Then give me what you can, please." The sage studied him. Those glowing eyes seemed to pierce through his soul. "Why do you seek this power?" "Revenge?" "Yes," he admitted. "But not just that. I want freedom. The gods treat us like puppets, like we're characters in their story. I want to cut the strings." Theron was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Very well. I can give you 3 seals. The foundation. The rest you'll have to discover yourself." The sage raised his hand. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. "But know this. Once you speak these words, once you wield this power, the gods will know. They'll hunt you. They'll fear you. They'll do everything to erase you from existence." "I don't care," he said firmly. "Good," Theron smiled. "Then we begin." The old man moved to the center of the chamber. The floating books arranged themselves in a circle. The first seal. The echo of the first word. It allows you to speak with the voice of creation itself. Symbols burned in the air between them. "Repeat, after me. But be warned. These sounds were never meant for mortal tongues." Theron spoke. The word that came out wasn't a language. It was something primal, older than thought. He tried to repeat it. His mouth struggled, his throat burned, but he forced it out. The chamber shook. "Again," Theron commanded. He spoke it again, and again, and again. Each time it became clearer, more natural. On the 20th, try something clicked. The word resonated, Reality rippled around him. "Good," the sage said. "The first seal is yours. Feel it burning in your chest." He did. A mark appeared over his heart, glowing with ancient light. The second seal, the word of undoing. It grants power to unmake divine works, to dissolve their magic. Another symbol appeared, more complex than the first. They repeated the process. His voice grew hoarse. His body trembled, but he didn't stop. Hours passed. Finally, the second word carved itself into his soul. Another mark joined the first. "The last one," Theron said. His voice was weaker now. "The word of becoming. The power to rewrite existence." The final symbol materialized. It was beautiful and terrible. Just looking at it made his eyes water. "This one will hurt," the sage warned. He braced himself. Theron spoke the word. Pain exploded through his entire being, like his soul was being torn apart and rebuilt. He screamed, but he listened, memorized, absorbed. When it was over, he collapsed to his knees. 3 marks burned on his chest, 3 seals of impossible power. Master Theron caught him before he fell completely. "You did well," the old man said. "Better than I expected." He looked up. The sage's eyes were fading, the blue light dimming. "What's happening to you?" "My time is ending," Theron said simply. "Teaching you accelerated what was already inevitable." "No, I came here to save you." The sage smiled. "You did. By taking this knowledge, by continuing what I started. The gods would have extracted this from my corpse. Now they can't." He felt the old man's weight increase. Theron was dying. Right here. Right now. "Listen carefully," the sage whispered. "One final warning. Beware. The one closest to your heart. She is not what she seems." His blood ran cold. "What do you know about her?" "Only what the script showed me. She's bound to them. To the gods. More than you realize. When the time comes, you'll have to choose. Her or freedom." Theron's eyes closed. His breathing slowed. "Thank you," the old man murmured, "for giving my death meaning." And then, he was gone. The sage's body turned to dust in his arms, drifting away like ash on the wind. The chamber grew dark. The symbols faded. He sat there, holding nothing, the weight of 3 seals burning in his chest. The primordial script was his now, and with it, a terrible responsibility. He stood slowly, his body still aching from the ritual. As he turned to leave, one thought consumed him. The sage's final words. She is not what she seems. He already knew she'd betray him, but there was something more, something deeper. What was she really? The question followed him as he left the cave, as he began the long journey back to the capital. Back to her. The festival would be over by now. She'd think he'd missed it. Good. Let her wonder. Let her worry. He had 3 seals of God-killing power, and a warning he couldn't ignore. The game was changing, and he was just getting started. 5 days after the festival, he stood in the capital's central plaza, watching the crowds. His chest still burned from the seals, 3 marks hidden beneath his shirt. He'd avoided her, deliberately. In the original timeline, they'd met at the spring festival. Love at first sight, or so he'd thought. Now he knew better. But staying away forever wasn't an option. The conspiracy ran deep. If he avoided her completely, they'd send someone else. Change tactics. Better to face her on his terms. He'd chosen this spot carefully. The grand fountain in the plaza. In his memories, this was their second meeting. After the festival, she'd come here looking for him. Worried he'd disappeared, he checked the sundial. Any minute now. His hand instinctively went to his chest, feeling the marks beneath the fabric. The primordial script hummed in his soul. Waiting. Ready. Then he saw her. His breath caught, even knowing everything, even knowing what she'd become. She was still beautiful. Long dark hair caught the sunlight, green eyes that seemed to hold entire worlds, that smile, the one that had destroyed him. She moved through the crowd, graceful, perfect, too perfect. He watched her scan the plaza, searching. For a moment, he considered walking away, disappearing again. But then their eyes met, her face lit up. Genuine surprise. And joy, or was it? She hurried toward him, weaving between merchants and street performers. "There you are," she called out. "I've been looking everywhere." He forced a smile. "Have you?" She stopped in front of him, slightly out of breath. "You missed the festival. Everyone was asking about you." "I had business in the mountains," he said. Carefully, her eyes flickered. Just for a second. There. He caught it. Interest. Calculation. Gone so fast he'd have missed it in his old life. "The mountains?" She tilted her head. "That sounds dangerous." It was necessary. She stepped closer, touched his arm gently. The contact sent conflicting signals through his body. Warmth and warning. "You should have told me. I would have worried less." Liar. The words screamed in his mind. But he kept his expression neutral. "We barely know each other," he pointed out. She laughed. Light and musical. "That's true. But I feel like I've known you forever." The irony of that statement hit him hard. In a way, she had. She'd been created to know him, to trap him. "I'm Serena," she said, extending her hand formally. He took it. "I know." Her eyebrow raised. "You know, but we've never met." Careful. He'd slipped. "I heard people talking at the festival. Before I left, your name came up." Her smile returned. "All good things, I hope." "Mostly," she laughed again. "Mostly? Now I'm curious what the bad things were." He shrugged. "Just rumors. You know how nobles gossip." "That I do." She gestured to a nearby bench. "Walk with me?" It wasn't really a question. He nodded, fell into step beside her. They walked in silence for a moment. The plaza buzzed with afternoon activity. "Can I ask you something?" she said suddenly. "Of course. Why did you really go to the mountains?" Direct. Unexpected. He met her gaze. "I told you. Business." What kind of business requires a young noble to travel alone to such a dangerous place? Her tone was playful, but her eyes were sharp. She was testing him, probing. "The kind that's better left private," he said smoothly. She studied him, then smiled again. "You're different from other nobles. Less predictable. Is that good or bad? I haven't decided yet." They reached the fountain, sat on its edge. Serena trailed her fingers in the water. "Do you believe in fate?" she asked quietly. The question hit him like a punch. The sage's words echoed, the god's laughter, her blade in his chest. "No," he said firmly. "I believe we make our own choices." She looked at him. Something flickered in her eyes again. Surprise? Concern? That's a bold statement. The gods might disagree. Let them. She actually laughed at that. "Careful. They say the gods punish pride. The gods can try." The words came out harsher than intended. Serena's smile faded slightly. "You sound like you have personal experience with them." He caught himself, pulled back. "Just tired of people using fate as an excuse. We're not puppets." "No," she agreed, softly. "We're not." But the way she said it, there was something underneath. Sadness? Regret? She stood abruptly. "I should go. My family expects me for dinner." "Your family," he repeated. "Tell me about them." Another flicker in her expression. Just typical nobility. Wealthy, connected, boring. Everything about that answer was rehearsed. "Which house?" he pressed. "House Valendris. We're not as prominent as some, but we manage." Valendris. He'd never heard that name in his original timeline. Because it didn't exist. She was lying. Creating a false background. "I'd love to meet them sometime," he said. Her smile tightened. "Perhaps, when we know each other better." She started to leave, then paused. "One more thing. You never told me your name." He almost laughed. She knew exactly who he was. Had probably known before she even approached. But fine, he'd play along. Kael, he said. Kael Ardent. Kael. She tested the name. It suits you. She leaned in, kissed his cheek softly. His body froze. The touch sent electricity through him, muscle memory from a life not yet lived. I'm glad you came back from the mountains safely, she whispered. Then she was gone. Disappearing. Into the crowd. He sat there, hand touching where her lips had been. His chest burned. The seals reacting. Or maybe it was just his heart, betraying him even now. He watched her vanish around a corner. Every instinct screamed warnings. But underneath it all, buried deep, part of him still loved her, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. He stood, started walking the opposite direction. His mind raced, processing everything. She'd asked about fate, about the mountains, about the gods. She was gathering information, reporting back to someone. The sage's warning burned in his memory. She is not what she seems, bound to the gods. He needed answers, needed to know what she really was. But he couldn't investigate too openly, couldn't let her know he suspected. This was going to be harder than he thought. Loving your enemy, hating the one you love. The line between them was razor thin, and he was walking it blindfolded. The game had truly begun, and he was already losing. 3 days after meeting Serena, he stood at the edge of the world. Literally, the abyssal rift stretched before him, a wound in reality itself. The ground simply ended, dropped into infinite darkness. Wind howled up from the void, carrying whispers, in languages that hurt to hear. This place wasn't on any map. Couldn't be. It existed between moments, between thoughts. The Primordial Script had shown him the way, burning directions into his dreams. The first trial awaited below. He checked his gear one final time. Rope, supplies, his sword, all worthless where he was going. But having them made him feel better. The seals on his chest pulsed. Responding to the rift's call, he took a breath, then stepped off the edge. Gravity seized him immediately, pulled him down into darkness. Wind screamed past his ears. The world above disappeared. He fell, and fell, and fell. Time lost meaning. Was he falling for seconds, hours, years? Then he hit something, not ground. Something worse, reality, or the absence of it. He stumbled to his feet, found himself standing on nothing. Void stretched in all directions, above, below, sideways, no up, no down, just emptiness that watched. Then the whispers started, voices from the dark, familiar voices. You failed us. He spun, his heart racing. His soldiers, the ones who died under his command, they materialized from the void, spectral, accusing. You led us to death, one said, face half burned. You promised glory. We got graves. This isn't real, he said, voice steady. Your manifestations, tests. Does that make our deaths less real? Another asked. Less your fault? They circled him, more appearing with each second, hundreds of faces, all people he'd failed to save. I tried, he said. I tried to protect everyone. Not hard enough. The voices merged, became one terrible chorus. Then the scene shifted. He was back in the throne room, the moment of betrayal, but this time he saw it from outside himself, watched his own body fall, watched the blood pool, watched her clean the blade. Pathetic, his own voice said. He turned, faced himself, his future self, older, dead, blood still dripping. You came back in time, his corpse said. And what did you do? You got power, made plans, but you still love her. That's not true. Liar. The corpse stepped closer. You felt it when she kissed your cheek, when she smiled. You're already falling for her again. I know what she is. Now. Knowing doesn't change anything. You're weak. You'll fail again. The corpse's hand shot out, grabbed his throat. You'll die the same death, make the same mistakes. Because you can't change. You're too broken. He struggled, couldn't breathe. The void pressed in, crushing. His vision dimmed. Was this how it ended? Before he'd even begun? No. Something burned in his chest. The seals. The primordial script responded to his will. He remembered the sage's words. These words have power. Fundamental power. He opened his mouth. Forced sound through his crushed throat. The first seal's word. The echo of the first word. It came out broken, distorted. But reality heard it anyway. The corpse's grip loosened. The void rippled. Spoke it again, clearer, stronger. The word resonated. Vibrated through existence itself. His dead self stumbled back, face contorting. No, it hissed. You don't deserve this power. I don't deserve it, he agreed. But I'll take it anyway. He spoke the word a third time. The corpse shattered, exploded into fragments of light. The accusing soldiers dissolved. The throne room faded. The void itself recoiled. And in the space where nothing existed, something appeared. A sphere of pure light. Floating. Pulsing. The echo of the first word made manifest. He reached for it, his hand trembling. The moment he touched it, pain exploded through his body. The light shot into his chest, merged with the first seal. Knowledge flooded his mind. Ancient. Terrible. Beautiful. He saw how reality was, constructed, word by word, concept by concept. Saw the first beings who spoke existence into form, saw the gods arrive later, much later. Parasites claiming credit for creation. The vision overwhelmed him. His mind couldn't process it all. He screamed. The void screamed with him. Then, silence. He found himself on solid ground again, gasping. The first trial was complete, but something had changed. He looked at his hands. They glowed faintly, flickering with primordial energy. The first seal had fully activated. He could feel it now. The power to speak with creation's voice, to command reality itself, at least in small ways. He stood slowly, body aching. The abyssal rift was gone. He was back on the mountain path, but not the same place he'd jumped from. The rift had deposited him somewhere else, somewhere closer to the capital. Smart. The trial knew he had no time to waste. As he walked, he tested his new power, spoke the word quietly, felt reality bend slightly. A rock levitated, rotated, settled back down. Basic. But it was a start. The real test would come when he faced divine magic, when he stood before a god and spoke the word. Would it work? Would reality obey him over them? He'd find out eventually. For now, he had 2 more trials to complete. But something bothered him. The vision. The truth about the gods. They weren't creators. They were conquerors. They'd stolen this world, rewritten its history, made themselves essential to existence itself. But the primordial script remembered. Held the original words, the real creation language, if he mastered it fully. If he spoke all the words, he wouldn't just kill gods, he'd erase them from ever having existed. The thought terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. He made camp that night in a cave, too exhausted to continue. As he drifted to sleep, the mark on his chest burned warm. But it wasn't pain. It was power. Growing, evolving, becoming part of him. His dreams were strange, fractured. He saw her face, Serena, but behind her, a larger shadow, humanoid but massive, a figure of light so bright it hurt to perceive. She stood in its palm, small, fragile, a puppet. No, worse than a puppet, a piece of it. He woke with a start, covered in sweat. The sage's warning echoed. She is not what she seems. Bound to the gods, he was starting to understand. She wasn't working for a god, she was part of one. But which god? And why? He packed his things, started the journey back. The capital was 2 days away. She'd be waiting, playing her role, pretending to be human, pretending to have feelings. He needed to play along, gather information, but he also needed to be careful if she truly was part of a god. Then she was far more dangerous than he'd thought. One wrong move, one slip, and she'd know everything. The game was getting complicated, but he'd passed the first trial, claimed the first true piece of god-killing power. As he walked, he practiced the word under his breath. Each time, it came easier, more natural. Reality responded faster, more completely. By the time he reached the capital gates, he could levitate himself, float for brief moments, reshape small objects. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The guards at the gate didn't even look twice at him. Just another noble returning from travel. If only they knew, if only they could see the mark burning on his chest, the power that could unmake their gods. He smiled to himself. Let them remain ignorant. For now, he had business to attend to, a lover to deceive, a conspiracy to unravel, and 2 more trials to survive. The first seal was his. The echo of the first word pulsed in his soul, and reality itself had bent its knee, even if only slightly, even if only for a moment. It was enough. For now, it was enough. He became 2 people. By day, Kael the noble. Charming, predictable, falling in love. By night, Kael the hunter. Searching, planning, preparing. It had been a week since the first trial. Serena had woven herself into his life seamlessly. Dinners, garden walks, social events. She played the perfect romantic interest, and he played the perfect fool. But every smile hid calculation. Every touch concealed suspicion. Today was another performance. A luncheon at the Grand Gardens. Her invitation. He arrived exactly on time, not too eager, not too distant. She waited by the fountain, wearing a blue dress that caught the sunlight. Beautiful, dangerous. Kael, she called out, waving. He waved back, walked over. She kissed his cheek in greeting. Standard noble courtesy, but her hand lingered on his arm, testing, measuring his reaction. He smiled warmly. Let nothing show. They sat at a prepared table. Servants brought wine and food. I've missed you, she said. You've been so busy lately. Business at the estate. My father demands constant reports. A perfect lie. His father barely spoke to him. You work too hard. She reached across the table, took his hand. Her skin was warm, soft, and completely artificial. He could see it now. With the first seal's power active, reality around her shimmered slightly. Like a projection, she wasn't entirely real. Not in the way humans were, but he kept his expression neutral. Someone has to, he said lightly. She laughed, sipped her wine. I want you to meet some people, she said suddenly. His attention sharpened. Oh? Friends of mine. Good connections. They'd love to know you better. Here it was, the recruitment phase. I'd be honored, he said. Her smile widened. Wonderful. Tonight, there's a gathering at the Silver Rose estate. Whose estate? Baron Myrthos. A close family friend. Baron Myrthos. In his original timeline, that man had been one of his executioners, standing beside her, laughing as Kael died. I look forward to it, he said. Voice steady. They continued lunch. Small talk, weather, politics, nothing substantial, but he noticed things. The way she redirected certain topics, avoided questions about her childhood, how she never ate much, always moved food around her plate. Did fragments of gods need to eat? After lunch, she excused herself. Family obligations. He watched her leave, then immediately changed direction. Headed for the old library district. His nights had been productive. The Primordial Script had shown him fragments, clues about the second trial, something about water, drowning, truth. He'd cross-referenced everything, ancient texts, forgotten maps. Finally found it. The sunken cathedral, a massive temple that had vanished beneath the endless ocean 1,000 years ago. Nobody knew why it sank. The records were destroyed, but Kael knew now. The gods had sunk it, buried the truth. It contained. The second seal waited there. He entered the restricted section of the library, picked the lock easily, Found the maritime archives, pulled out navigational charts. There, the coordinates. 2 days' journey by ship, then a dive into deep water. He copied the location, memorized it. As he worked, footsteps echoed outside. He froze. The library was supposed to be empty. He quickly reshuffled. The documents made everything look undisturbed. The door opened. A librarian entered. Old, wrinkled, eyes sharp behind thick glasses. "Can I help you find something?" the old man asked. "Just browsing. Hope that's acceptable." The librarian studied him. Then the charts on the table. Maritime records. Unusual interest for a young noble. "I like ships." The old man walked closer. "That specific chart. The coordinates you were examining. Dangerous waters there. Ships don't return from that region." Kael kept his expression curious. "Really? Why not?" "Old curse, or so they say. Something beneath the waves. Sounds like superstition." The librarian's eyes gleamed. "Does it? Tell me. Do you believe in the gods?" Loaded question, of course. Everyone does. "But do you believe they're good?" Kael paused. "Careful now. I believe they're powerful." The old man smiled. "A diplomatic answer, but you didn't say good." He pulled out a different map, much older. Parchment yellowed with age. This was the original chart. Before it was edited, he pointed to the coordinates. But on this map, there was a label, Cathedral of First Truths. "Supposedly," the librarian whispered, "this place held secrets the gods wanted buried. They drowned it, killed everyone inside, then erased it from history. But librarians remember. We always remember." Kael's heart raced. "Why are you telling me this?" The old man looked at him. Really looked. "Because you have the eyes of someone who's seen too much and lived too long. And because that mark on your chest is glowing through your shirt." Kael glanced down. The first seal. It was pulsing, visible. He'd been careless. "What are you?" Kael demanded. "A friend, or at least not an enemy." The librarian pushed the old map toward him. "Take it. You'll need accurate coordinates. The new maps lie. Why help me? Because someone needs to challenge them, and you have the smell of forbidden magic. The kind that makes gods nervous." The old man turned to leave, stopped at the door. "One warning. The girl you're with. Serena." Kael tensed. "She came here 2 days ago. Asked about the same coordinates." "Whatever. You're planning. She already knows." Then he was gone. Kael stood alone, mind racing. She knew. She knew he was searching for something. But how much did she know? He grabbed the ancient map, tucked it away. Tonight he'd meet her friends, the conspiracy, play the naive noble, gain their trust, then slip away. Find a ship. Reach the cathedral. The double life was getting dangerous. One mistake, one slip in his performance, and they'd know everything. That evening, he dressed carefully. Noble attire. Nothing suspicious. Hid the map in a secret pocket. The first seal's glow, suppressed through effort. Arrived at the Silver Rose estate exactly on time. The mansion was massive. Excessive. Servants bowed as he entered. Serena met him in the foyer. She'd changed into an elegant gown. "You look wonderful," he said. "As do you." She took his arm. "Come. Everyone's eager to meet you." She led him to a grand hall. 20 people waited. All nobility, all smiling. But their eyes, cold, calculating. He recognized faces from his death. Baron Myrthos, Count Valen, Lady Thress, Commander Vex. All of them. His future killers. "Everyone," Serena announced. "This is Kael Ardent." They applauded politely. Baron Myrthos approached, extended his hand. "Serena has told us so much about you." Kael shook it. "All good things, I hope?" "Very good things." The Baron's grip was firm. "Testing. She says you're different, ambitious, not bound by old traditions." "I believe in progress," Kael said carefully. "Excellent. We share that belief." Count Valen joined them. "Tell me, What do you think about the current kingdom? The way things are run? Political question. Fishing for dissent. Room for improvement. Always. Careful answer. Valen smiled. But what if improvement required? Sacrifice? What kind of sacrifice? The kind that changes everything. That tears. Down the old order. Kael pretended to consider. That depends on what replaces it. Lady Thress laughed. He's clever. I like him. Serena beamed. Proud. I told you. The conversation continued. Veiled references, coded language, they were recruiting. Him, slowly, subtly. Building trust before revealing the full conspiracy, he played along. Asked innocent questions. Showed measured interest, all while his mind screamed. These people would kill him, betray him, laugh over his corpse. But he smiled, joked, charmed. Hours passed. Wine flowed. Finally, Serena pulled him aside. They like you, she whispered. This is good. They seem intense. They're passionate. About change. About freedom from the old ways. What old ways? She hesitated. I'll explain everything. When the time is right. When you're ready to hear the truth. Her hand cupped his cheek, eyes searching his face. Do you trust me, Kael? The question hung in the air. He looked at her. This beautiful lie. This fragment of a god. And he lied right back. Yes, I trust you. She kissed him. Soft. Tender. It felt real. It felt like a knife. When they parted, she smiled. Good. Because soon, everything changes. And I want you by my side when it does. He nodded. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. The performance of his life. While inside, his heart turned to ice, and the second seal called to him from beneath the waves, waiting, drowning in truth. 2 days later, Serena invited him to dinner. At her family estate, House Valendris, the family that didn't exist. He accepted immediately. This was the opportunity he needed. The estate sat on the city's edge, isolated, surrounded by tall walls. Guards, posted at every entrance, too many for a minor noble house. Something was wrong here. He arrived at sunset, dressed formally. A servant greeted him at the gate, led him through manicured gardens. The mansion loomed ahead. 3 stories. Gothic architecture, beautiful, excessive, wrong. Serena waited on the steps, radiant in a crimson dress. Welcome to my home, she said, taking his arm. It's impressive. Thank you. My family's been here for generations. Another lie. He'd checked. The records. This estate had been abandoned 5 years ago, bought by an anonymous buyer. No Valendris family existed before that. She led him inside. The foyer was massive. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, paintings lined the walls, portraits of people he didn't recognize, supposedly her ancestors. But something was off about them. The faces looked similar. Too similar. Like variations of the same person. My parents are eager to meet you, Serena said. They entered the dining hall. A long table dominated the room, set for 8 people. 2 figures stood at the far end, her parents, Lord and Lady Valendris. They smiled, walked forward, but Kael's enhanced vision caught it immediately. The same shimmer, the same reality distortion. They weren't human either. More fragments, or something worse. Lord Valendris, the man said, extending his hand. A pleasure. Kael shook. The hand felt real, warm, but wrong. Like touching a perfectly crafted statue. Lady Valendris. The woman curtsied slightly. Serena has told us wonderful things. I'm honored to be here. They sat for dinner. Servants brought course after course. The conversation was pleasant. Surface level. Politics. Weather. Estate management. But Kael's attention drifted. He studied the room, looking for anything unusual. There, on the wall, partially hidden by a tapestry, symbols carved into the stone. His blood ran cold. Divine script, the language of gods, but not just any script. These were specific glyphs, binding symbols, anchoring marks. This place wasn't a home. was a construct, a divine anchor point disguised as nobility. "Excuse me," he said suddenly. "Restroom?" Serena smiled. Down the hall, third door on the left. He stood, walked out calmly. Once in the hallway, he moved quickly, ignored the bathroom, headed deeper into the estate. The servants didn't question him, didn't even seem to notice, because they weren't real either. He reached a locked door, pulled out a lockpick. His hands worked fast. The lock clicked. Inside was a study. Dark, filled with papers. He lit a candle, started searching. Ledgers, correspondence, maps, most of it mundane, cover material. Then he found it. A hidden drawer, concealed behind a false panel. Inside, letters, sealed with a mark that made his skin crawl. A radiant sun, burning, infinite. He opened the first letter carefully. The handwriting was elegant, almost too perfect. The vessel progresses as planned. The ardent boy shows promise. His fate is sealed. Continue the emotional binding. When the appointed time comes, he will serve his purpose. The ritual requires willing sacrifice. He must love her completely. Only then can we harvest what he will become. Signed, the Radiant One. His hands shook. The Radiant One. A title he'd heard in myths. The God of Gods. The Supreme Being. The First Light. Serena wasn't just working for a god. She was a piece of the God of Gods himself. He grabbed more letters. Read quickly. Details about the conspiracy, the timeline, the ritual. Everything pointed to one moment, 10 years from now. The exact day of his original death. That wasn't coincidence. That was the appointed time. The harvest. Footsteps in the hallway. He shoved the letters back, closed the drawer, concealed the panel, extinguished the candle. The door opened. Serena stood there, backlit by the hallway. "Kael, what are you doing?" His heart pounded. "I got lost. This place is massive." She stepped inside. Her eyes swept the room. "This is my father's private study. You shouldn't be here. I apologize. The doors all look the same." She walked closer, studying his face. "You're sweating." "Am I?" "It's warm." Her hand reached up, touched his forehead. The contact sent chills down his spine. "Are you feeling well?" "Just a bit dizzy. Maybe the wine." She didn't move, didn't blink. "You're lying to me." His breath caught. "What?" "Your pulse. It's racing. Your pupils are dilated. You're hiding something." The facade cracked, just for a moment. Her eyes shifted, became something else. Something ancient, then returned to normal. "I'm not hiding anything," he said firmly. "I genuinely got lost." Silence stretched between them. Then she smiled. "Of course. How silly of me. Come. Dinner's getting cold." She took his hand, led him back to the dining hall, but her grip was tighter than before. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. He smiled, talked, performed, but his mind raced. The letters, the ritual, the God of Gods. Everything was bigger than he'd thought. This wasn't just a conspiracy of nobles. This was divine intervention, cosmic manipulation. Finally, the evening ended. Serena walked him to the gate. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. "Thank you for having me." She pulled him close, kissed him deeply. It felt desperate, urgent. When they parted, her eyes glistened. "Kael, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you ever feel like you're not in control of your life?" The question hit him like a hammer. "Sometimes," he admitted. "Like, someone else is writing your story?" "Yes," her voice cracked. "Exactly like that." She looked away. "Never mind. Forget I said anything." But he caught it. A tear. A single tear rolling down her cheek. Real. Genuine. For just a moment, he saw past the fragment. Saw something trapped. Something suffering. Serena. She wiped her eyes, quickly. "I'm fine. Just tired. Good night, Kael." She turned, walked back to the mansion. He stood there, watching her go. Confusion warred with anger. pity with hatred. What was she? A willing servant of the god of gods? Or a prisoner in her own existence? The letter suggested she had a role, a purpose. But that tear, that moment of vulnerability, that was real. Or was it another layer of the manipulation? He didn't know anymore. As he walked back to the city, his mind churned. The second trial couldn't wait. He needed the word of undoing, the power to dissolve divine works. Maybe, just maybe, that power could free her or destroy her completely. He wasn't sure which outcome he wanted, but he knew one thing. The god of gods was watching, and the appointed time was coming. Unless he changed everything. Unless he broke the script entirely. The sunken cathedral waited. Tomorrow he'd find a ship. Tomorrow he'd dive into the truth, and maybe, just maybe, find a way to save them both, or damn them forever. Either way, the choice would be his, not the gods, not fate's. His. The ship left at dawn, a fishing vessel, small, discreet. The captain asked no questions, just took the gold and sailed. 2 days across the endless ocean. The water was darker here, almost black, ancient, hostile. On the third morning, they reached the coordinates. The captain dropped anchor. This is it, but I'm not waiting long. 1 hour. Then I leave with or without you. Kael nodded. Already stripping off his outer clothes, he'd prepared. Lightweight gear, enchanted breathing stone in his mouth, a gift from the mysterious librarian, would provide air for 30 minutes. Maybe. He dove. The water was freezing, shocked his system. Immediately, down into darkness. Light faded within seconds. The breathing stone activated. Air flowed. Barely. He kept swimming. Following the pull in his chest, the second seal's location. The Primordial Script knew the way. Minutes passed, or hours. Time felt strange underwater. Then he saw it, a shape in the darkness. Massive, impossible. The cathedral. It rose from the ocean floor like a drowned giant. Spires reached upward, covered in barnacles and decay. Stained glass windows, shattered, empty. The entire structure pulsed with a faint, sickly light. He swam closer. The entrance was a massive archway, gaping like a mouth. He hesitated at the threshold. Every instinct screamed to turn back. But he pushed forward. Inside was worse. The cathedral's interior was intact, perfectly preserved. Pews lined the main hall. Stone altars stood at the far end. And everywhere, bodies, floating corpses in ancient robes, priests, monks, worshippers, thousands of them, their faces frozen in expressions of agony, mouths open, screaming silently. He pushed past them, tried not to look at their eyes. The eyes that followed him anyway. At the center of the cathedral, he found steps leading down. Deeper, into the heart of the structure. He descended. The water here felt thicker, heavier, like swimming through syrup. Finally, he reached a chamber, the heart of the cathedral, a circular room. Walls covered in the same ancient symbols from the rift, and in the center, a choir of figures. They stood in perfect formation, robed, hooded, the drowned choir. They hadn't moved in 1,000 years, but as he entered, they turned as one, looked directly at him. Then they began to sing. No, not singing, drowning. The sound was water, lungs filling, death gurgling, and it stripped everything away. His lies, his masks, his carefully constructed walls. The song forced truth, compelled it. His mouth opened. Against his will, words poured out, bubbles in the water. I loved her. I still love her. No. Stop. But the choir sang louder. I failed them. All of them. Every soldier who died under my command. The truth tore through him. I'm terrified. Terrified I'll fail again. That even with this power, I'm not enough. His deepest fear. Exposed. The choir circled him, their song intensifying. One of them reached out. Skeletal fingers touched his chest, where the seals burned. You seek the word of undoing. But what will you unmake? The voice was ancient, neither male nor female. The gods, he choked out, their control, their script. And her? The choir asked as one. Will you unmake her too? The question paralyzed him. To free her, he'd have to destroy the fragment, destroy the part of the god of gods that she was. But would she survive that? Would anything of Serena remain? I don't know, he admitted. The truth hurt worse than any lie. You love a fiction, a divine puppet. She is not real. She's real enough, he said. I saw her cry, saw her question. Tears mean nothing. Gods can mimic emotion perfectly. Can they mimic doubt? He challenged. Can they question their own existence? The choir went silent, processing. Then one spoke alone. You believe she's become more than her design? Yes. That love has made her real? Yes. Fool. But the word lacked conviction. The choir parted, revealed a path deeper into the chamber. The second seal lies ahead, in the truth you refuse to face. He swam forward, through the circle of drowned priests. Beyond them, a final room, smaller, intimate, and inside, a vision. Not the past, the future. He saw himself, 10 years from now, standing in that throne room, surrounded by enemies. Serena approached, blade raised. But this time, he saw her face clearly, tears streaming, mouth forming words. I'm sorry. I have no choice. He's calling me back. She plunged the blade, and as she did, her body began dissolving, returning to the god of gods. Her last words, I love you. That part was real. The vision shattered. He understood now. The betrayal wasn't malice. It was recall. A fragment summoned back to the whole. She didn't want to kill him. She had to. The second seal appeared before him. A sphere of blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. The word of undoing. He reached for it. The moment he touched it, knowledge flooded in. This word could dissolve divine magic, unmake godly constructs, break curses, shatter bindings, free fragments from their source, or destroy them entirely. The power merged with his chest. The second seal activated. Pain. Incredible pain. His body convulsed. The water around him boiled. He screamed, bubbles erupting. The word carved itself into his soul, burned itself into his consciousness. When it ended, he floated, gasping through. The breathing stone, 2 seals, 2 impossible words. The choir watched in silence. You have what you sought, they said. Now face what you fear. Will you free her or destroy her? I'll give her a choice, he said. Let her decide. Fragments cannot choose. They are extensions of will. Then I'll make her able to choose. The choir laughed, a horrible drowning sound, arrogant. To think you can rewrite divine nature. I have the word of undoing. I'll unmake what binds her. And if nothing remains, he was silent. Then at least she'll be free. The choir bowed, all at once. Go, Time Walker, rewrite your fate. But know this, the god of gods is already aware. He knows you've taken the seals. He knows you plan to break his fragment, and he permits it. Kael froze. What? This too is written. Your rebellion, your defiance, even your love. All part of the script. No, you're lying. We cannot lie. The song forbids it. He wants you to try freeing her, to see if love can overcome divine will. You are his experiment, his entertainment. The words crushed him. Even this, even his rebellion, still part of the god's plan. Then I'll surprise him, Kael said through gritted teeth. I'll do something he didn't write. Nothing exists outside the script. The Primordial Script does. You said it yourself. Words that came before the gods. He activated the second seal, spoke the word of undoing. The water around him rippled, reality bent, The choir's forms flickered, started dissolving. "What are you doing?" they demanded. "Freeing you. Your divine constructs, guards placed here. You've been trapped for 1,000 years. You're undoing us? You deserve rest." The word intensified. The choir's forms came, apart but before they vanished completely. They smiled. "Thank you, Time Walker. You may yet surprise him." They dissolved into light, drifted upward. The cathedral shook. The binding was broken. The structure had no anchor. It began collapsing. Stone cracked. Water rushed in faster. He swam, hard. Up through the heart chamber, through the main hall. Debris fell around him, crushing the floating corpses. The archway ahead, so close, a massive pillar collapsed, blocked his path. He spoke the word of undoing. The stone dissolved, turned to sand. He burst through, out into open water. Behind him, the cathedral imploded, sank deeper, claimed by the ocean forever. He swam upward, lungs burning. The breathing stone's magic was fading. His vision blurred, body screaming for real air. Up, just a little further, he broke the surface, gasped. The ship was still there, barely. The captain yelled, "Get in, now!" Sailors threw a rope. He grabbed it. They hauled him up. He collapsed on deck, coughing, shaking, but alive, and the second seal burned in his chest. The word of undoing. He could free her now. Break the binding. Give Serena a chance to be real, if anything of her existed beyond the fragment. The ship turned, headed back to shore. He lay there, staring at the sky, 2 seals down, 1 to go. But the choir's words haunted him. "This too is written, even. Your rebellion is part of the script." Was anything he did real? Or was he still dancing on divine strings? He clenched his fist. It didn't matter. Even if the God of Gods expected his defiance, even if this was all planned, he'd still fight. Still try to save her. Still rewrite the ending. Because the alternative was surrender, and he'd died once already. He wouldn't do it again. Not without a fight. The capital appeared on the horizon. Serena waited there, playing her role, unaware he now held the power to free her or destroy her. The choice would come soon. But first, the third trial, the final seal, the word of becoming, hidden in the celestial wound, where reality itself had broken, where the first gods had died. He closed his eyes, let the sun warm his face. 2 more days of rest. Then he'd ascend and claim the power to rewrite existence itself. The God of Gods was watching? Good. Let him watch. Let him see what happened when you gave a mortal god-killing power and a reason to use it. He'd been back in the capital for 3 days, resting, recovering, preparing. The 2 seals burned constantly now, growing stronger. Serena had visited twice, played the worried lover perfectly. He'd played along, kissed her, held her, all while the word of undoing pulsed in his chest, waiting for the right moment. But that moment never came. Because on the 4th day, everything changed. He was in the Grand Plaza, mid-afternoon, crowded, buying supplies for the 3rd trial. Then the sky cracked. Not metaphorically, literally cracked. A fissure of light split the heavens. People screamed, pointed. Something descended through the rift. A figure wreathed in golden flames, 20 feet tall, vaguely humanoid. Its face shifted constantly, never settling on one form. God! It landed in the center of the plaza. The impact shattered stone. Silence fell. Everyone frozen in terror. The god's voice boomed. Reality itself vibrated. There is a heretic among you, one who wields forbidden magic. Kael's blood turned to ice, one who has stolen the words of the Primordial, defiled the ancient seals. No, not now, not yet. He tried to back away, blend into the crowd, but the god's shifting face locked onto him. All its forms smiled at once. There, the thief, the blasphemer. A finger pointed, energy crackled. The crowd, parted instantly, left him exposed. Thousands of eyes turned, including hers. Serena stood across the plaza, face pale, shock, confusion, fear, real emotions, or perfect acting. He couldn't tell anymore. I am Velrith, god of deception, master of lies, and I can smell the truth on you, the stink of primordial power. The god stepped forward. Each footfall cracked the ground. Surrender the seals. Kneel. Beg forgiveness. And I will make your death quick. Kael's mind raced. He could run, try to escape. But where? The god would follow. Destroy the entire city. He could surrender. Give up the seals. But that meant death. Meant the conspiracy won. Or he could fight. 2 seals against a god. Impossible odds. But when had that ever stopped him? He stepped forward, hands raised. I don't think I will. The crowd gasped. Velrith laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Bold, foolish, but bold. Do you know what I am? What I represent? A parasite, Kael said. A conqueror pretending to be a creator. Silence. The god's laughter stopped. What did you call me? You heard me. You didn't create this world. You stole it, rewrote its history, made yourself essential. But the Primordial Script remembers, and so do I. Velrith's form solidified, became something terrible. All pretense. Of humanity gone, pure divine rage. You dare. Energy exploded from the god, a shockwave of pure power. It slammed into Kael, sent him flying backward. He crashed through a merchant's stall. Wood splintered, pain erupted across his body. The crowd scattered, running, screaming. He struggled to his feet, tasted blood. The god advanced, each step deliberate. I am eternal. I am absolute. I am... Boring, Kael interrupted. You gods all say the same things. He activated the first seal, spoke the echo of the first word. Reality rippled. The god stumbled. Actually stumbled. What? Kael spoke it again, louder, with intention. The word resonated, vibrated through existence. The god's form flickered, like a candle in wind. Impossible. You're mortal. You can't what? Use the words you fear? Kael advanced now, each step accompanied by the word. The plaza itself responded. Stone reshaped, air crystallized, Velrith roared. Through divine fire, massive spheres of golden flame, each one city-destroying. Kael spoke the word of undoing. The flames dissolved, turned to harmless light, unmade before they could touch him. The god's eyes widened. For the first time. Fear. You have 2 seals already? Just getting started, Kael said. He combined the words, spoke them in sequence, echo. Then undoing. Then echo again. Reality bent to his will. The god's divine form cracked, like porcelain under pressure. No, this isn't possible. Velrith unleashed everything. The sky turned gold. Divine power flooded the plaza. Illusions manifested. Thousands of them, each one trying to deceive, to confuse, to break his mind. He saw Serena, dead, throat slit. Saw his soldiers, burning alive. Saw himself, old, broken, defeated. But he'd lived through worse than illusions. He'd lived through the real betrayal. The words cut through deception like light through shadow. Every illusion shattered, dissolved, leaving only truth. The god, weakening. The crowd, watching in stunned silence. Serena, tears streaming down her face. Kael pressed forward. You gods think you're untouchable, that mortals exist to worship. But you forgot something. He spoke both words together. A harmony of primordial power. The god's form exploded with cracks, light bleeding through. You forgot. We were here first, before you came, before you conquered. And the words remember. The god fell to one knee. The crowd gasped. A god, kneeling, impossible, unthinkable, but happening. Velrith's voice was broken, distorted. Please, I didn't know, didn't realize. Save it, Kael said. Your lies don't work on me. He placed his hand on the god's head, spoke the word of undoing directly into its divine essence. The god screamed. Its form began dissolving, not dying, undoing, returning to base components. Wait, Velrith begged. The Radiant One. He'll come for you. He already knows. He's watching. This is all part of his plan. You're still dancing on his strings. Kael hesitated. The choir's words echoed. This too is written. Was he still playing the god's game? Was every choice predetermined? No, he refused to believe that. He released the god, stepped back. Velrith collapsed completely. Both knees on the ground, head bowed, fully kneeling. Go, Kael commanded. Tell your master what happened here. Tell him a mortal made you kneel. Tell him I'm coming for him next. The god looked up, terror in its shifting eyes. You don't understand what you've started. I understand perfectly. Velrith's form flickered, then vanished, fled back to whatever divine realm spawned it. Silence. The entire plaza. Frozen. Thousands of people, all staring at him, the mortal who made a god kneel. Then someone clapped, slow, deliberate. Others joined, hesitant at first, then erupting, a wave of sound, cheering, applause, awe. He stood there, chest burning, body aching. This wasn't what he wanted. Attention, worship, fame. This was dangerous. Now everyone knew. The conspiracy, the gods, everyone. He searched the crowd for her, found Serena, still standing in the same spot, her face unreadable. Their eyes met across the destroyed plaza. She mouthed something. He couldn't hear over the crowd, but he could read her lips. What are you? Good question. What was he? A hero? A rebel? A pawn in a cosmic game? He didn't know anymore. The crowd surged forward, wanting to touch him, thank him. He pushed through, needed to leave, needed to think as he walked away. Reality felt different. The seals had grown stronger, more integrated. The words came easier now, more natural, like remembering how to breathe. He was changing, becoming something more than mortal, something less than God, something in between. And the God of Gods was definitely watching now. The game had escalated. No more subtlety. No more hiding. War was coming. He felt it in his bones. But first, the third seal, the word of becoming. With all three, he'd have power to rival the gods themselves, to rewrite existence, to free Serena, to end this once and for all. He looked up at the sky, where the rift had opened, somewhere beyond. The celestial wound waited, the place where gods died, where the final seal resided. Tomorrow, he'd ascend. Tonight? Tonight he needed answers. He turned, headed toward Serena's estate. It was time for truth, all of it. No more games, no more lies. She'd seen what he could do, seen him make a god kneel. The facade was broken. Now came the hard part, facing what existed underneath. The crowd's cheers faded behind him, leaving only silence, and the burning question. What happened next? Even the Primordial Script didn't know, because for the first time, he was writing his own story, and the gods could only watch, powerless, afraid, kneeling. The capital exploded into chaos, a mortal, defeating a god. Unthinkable, yet thousands had witnessed it. Within hours, the story spread like wildfire, exaggerated, embellished, but rooted in truth. Kael Ardent, the God Slayer. He hated the title already. The Kingdom's Council summoned him before nightfall. Royal guards appeared at his door, polite but firm. The king requests your presence, immediately. No choice. He followed. The throne room was packed. Nobles, generals, ministers, all watching him enter. King Aldrich sat on his throne, old, calculating eyes. Kael Ardent, the king said. Approach. He walked forward, felt every gaze tracking his movement. You made a god kneel today. I defended myself, your majesty. Defended? A minister scoffed. You humiliated a divine being. Do you understand the consequences? The gods could declare war on us, destroy this kingdom. Kael met the minister's eyes. They won't. How can you possibly know that? Because they're afraid. For the first time in their existence, they're actually afraid. Murmurs rippled through the room. The king raised a hand. Silence fell. These powers you possess. Where did you acquire them? Careful, very careful. Ancient knowledge, older than the gods themselves. Can others learn this power? There it was, the real question. They wanted to weaponize him, create an army of god killers. No, he lied. It requires specific conditions, a unique soul. Disappointment flashed across several faces. Then you're irreplaceable, the king said slowly. A strategic asset, one we must protect. Protect. Right. More like control. I appreciate the concern, Your Majesty, but unnecessary. I disagree. The king leaned forward. You will accept royal guards. Protection. Detail. You will report all divine encounters, share intelligence, and you will serve the crown's interests when called upon. A gilded cage, polite imprisonment, and if I refuse, the temperature in the room dropped. Then we'd be forced to consider you. A threat. There it was, the ultimatum, serve or be destroyed. Kael smiled. Cold, sharp, you can try, but I just made a god kneel. What do you think you could do to me? Silence. Absolute silence. The king's jaw tightened. You would threaten your monarch? I would remind him. That power has shifted. The age of kings and gods dictating terms? Over. He turned. Walked toward the exit. Kael ardent, a general barked. You are dismissed when the king says. He kept walking. Nobody stopped him. Nobody dared. Outside the palace, he breathed. That was dangerous. Stupid even. But necessary. They needed to understand. He wasn't their weapon. He headed home through back streets, avoiding crowds. His small estate felt empty, cold. He poured wine. Tried to think. Everything was accelerating, spiraling. The third trial couldn't wait. He needed the final seal, the word of becoming. Only then would he be ready for what came next. As he sat in the dark, a sound, soft, barely audible. Someone was in his study. He moved silently, hand on his sword, pushed the door open. Serena stood there, holding papers, his private notes, research on the trials. Looking for something? He asked. She spun, eyes wide. Kael. I was worried. You didn't come see me after I made a god kneel in front of you? She flinched. What are you really looking for, Serena? She set the papers down. Slowly, the truth. About what you are, what you've become. I could ask you the same question. Tension crackled between them. I'm exactly what I appear to be, she said. A liar. A fragment of the god of gods. A divine puppet. Her face went pale. How long have you known? Long enough. Tears welled in her eyes. Then why? Why keep pretending? Because part of me hoped I was wrong. Hoped that maybe some part of you was real. She looked away. I don't know what's real anymore. When he created me, gave me form, memories, feelings. Were those feelings his? Or did I develop my own? I wish I could tell you. Kael stepped closer. The sage warned me, said you'd betray me, that it was inevitable. I know, she whispered. In 10 years, he'll call me back. And I won't be able to resist. I'll kill you. Complete the ritual. Return to him. So you do remember. The original timeline. Fragments of it. Dreams, visions, déjà vu. Enough to know what I'll become. She looked at him, desperate. I don't want to be his tool. I don't want to hurt you. But I have no choice. He reached out, cupped her face gently. What if I told you I can free you? Hope flared in her eyes. How? The word of undoing. It can break divine bindings, separate you from him. Would I still exist? Or would I just stop? I don't know, he admitted. That's the risk. She leaned into his touch. I'm so tired, Kael. So tired of not knowing what I am. Of feeling like I'm watching my life from outside. Then choose, right now. Choose to be real. I can't. Not yet. He hasn't called. The binding isn't active. When the time comes, a flash of light interrupted them. Paper materialized in the air. Fell to the desk. Divine script. Glowing. Serena's face drained of color. What is that? Kael demanded. She picked it up with shaking hands. Read. Her expression shattered. It's from him, the Radiant One. What does it say? She handed it over. The message was short, precise. The timeline accelerates. He's stronger than predicted. Proceed to phase 2. Bring him to the convergence point. Willing or broken. The ritual requires his participation. Kael's blood ran cold. What's phase 2? I don't know. He hasn't told me yet. I swear, I didn't know this was coming. He studied her face, saw genuine confusion, fear. Either she was telling the truth, or she was the best liar he'd ever met. You need to leave, he said quietly. Kael, now. Before I do something we'll both regret. She backed toward the door, stopped. For what it's worth, I do love you. I don't know if that's me or him speaking, but it feels real. Then she was gone. He stood alone, the message still in his hand. Phase 2, the convergence point, the ritual. It was all connected, all planned. The God of Gods was tightening the noose, and Kael was running out of time. He looked at his research, the notes on the 3rd trial, the celestial wound, the word of becoming. Tomorrow. No more delays. He'd claim the final seal. Then, he'd be ready. For phase 2. For the ritual. For everything. The message burned in his hand. He spoke the word of undoing. The paper dissolved, erased from existence. But the words remained, burned into his memory. The game was reaching its climax, and he still didn't know if he was the player or the piece being played. Dawn hadn't broken yet. Kael stood at his window, watching the sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the clouds, beyond reality itself. The celestial wound waited, a scar in existence, a place where the first gods had died, where the final seal resided. He'd spent the night preparing, meditating, centering himself. The 3rd trial would be different, harder. He could feel it in his bones. No more delays, no more distractions. Time to finish what he'd started. He left before the city woke, before anyone could stop him, outside the walls. He found the place, a cliff overlooking endless sky. The primordial script burned in his chest. Guiding him, he closed. His eyes spoke both words in sequence, echo. Then undoing, reality responded. The air shimmered. A path appeared. Not physical, not exactly. More like steps made of solidified starlight, leading up, into the sky itself. He took the first step. It held. Barely. Each step required concentration. Will. The words. Maintaining the path beneath his feet. He climbed. Higher, higher. The city shrank below, became a toy. The air thinned. Cold bit at his skin. Still he climbed. Hours passed, or minutes. Time felt strange here. Finally, the path ended. He stood on nothing, surrounded by sky, and before him, the wound, a tear in reality. Massive. Tefted off the ground, the primordial script, complete. All 3 words, all 3 seals. Power flooded through him, reshaped him from inside. He wasn't just human anymore, but he wasn't a god either. Something new, something unprecedented, something the universe had never seen before. When it ended, he floated in the sky. The Titan watched, approval in its ancient presence. You are the first in 10,000 years to claim all 3. What will you do arable, beautiful, through it? He could see everything and nothing. Other worlds, other times, other possibilities, all bleeding together. overlapping, colliding. This was where the God Wars had reached their peak, where divine beings had torn existence itself and never repaired the damage. He stepped toward the wound. As he did, something emerged, a figure, enormous, ancient, made of crumbling stone and forgotten light. The echoing titan, a remnant from before the gods, before creation. It had no face, but he felt its gaze anyway. Another seeker, its voice rumbled, multiple, tones overlapping. Another mortal chasing power beyond their understanding. I seek the third seal, Kael said, the word of becoming. I know what you seek. The question is, do you know why? To free someone I love, to fight the gods, to rewrite my fate. The Titan was silent for a moment. 3 reasons, 3 desires. But which is true? All of them. None of them. Does it matter? Everything matters. Intention shapes outcome. Words of power respond to will, to purpose. The Titan moved closer. Each step shook the sky. I will ask you 3 questions. Answer truthfully. Lie, even once, and you fall. Forever. Kael nodded. Ask. First question. Why do you seek power? Simple question. Complex answer. He thought about it. Really thought. Revenge. At first, I wanted revenge on those who betrayed me. But now, the Titan pressed. Now, I want choice. Real choice. Not the illusion of it. I want to prove that fate isn't absolute. That stories can be rewritten. The Titan nodded slowly. Truth. Partial, but truth. Second question. The one you love. The fragment. Do you truly love her? Or do you love the idea of saving something broken? That one hurt. He'd asked himself the same thing. Many times. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe I love who she could be. Free from divine influence. Maybe I love the challenge of the impossible. Or maybe I just love her. All of her. Fragment and all. I can't separate it anymore. The Titan leaned closer. Honest. Painfully so. Many would lie here, claim pure love. But you admit confusion, complexity. That is, refreshing. Final question, the hardest. If you had to choose between saving her and stopping the gods, which would you pick? Silence. The question he'd been avoiding. If freeing Serena meant the gods won, would he still do it? If defeating the gods meant losing her forever, could he accept that? He looked into the wound, at all those other possibilities. In some, he saved. Her, the gods conquered. In others, he won. She died. In most. He failed at both, but in a few, a tiny few, he succeeded at both. I refuse the choice, he said finally. The Titan straightened. That is not an answer. Yes, it is. The whole point of the Primordial Script, the whole reason I'm here, is to reject false dichotomies, to rewrite impossible choices. I'll save her and stop the gods, or die trying. The Titan studied him, long, searching. Then it laughed. A sound like mountains crumbling. You understand, finally. Someone understands. The gods offer choices within their rules, their limitations. But the Primordial Script, it creates new options, new possibilities, new paths. The Titan stepped aside. The third seal is yours, not because you deserve it, but because you'll use it correctly. Behind the Titan, the wound pulsed, and from its center, light emerged, brighter than anything he'd ever seen. The word of becoming, it floated toward him, pulsing, alive. He reached out. The moment contact was made, everything changed. Not pain this time. Understanding. Pure, overwhelming, absolute. He saw how reality was constructed, layer by layer. Saw how beliefs became truth. How will became form. Saw how the gods had shaped existence through collective belief, and how he could do the same. The word of becoming didn't just let you change what existed, it let you create what didn't. Make real what was only imagined. Turn possibility into certainty. The seal merged with the others, 3 marks on his chest, burning as one. His body convulsed. With this power? Kael looked at his hands. They glowed softly. Reality bent around him, waiting for commands. I'm going to do something impossible. I'm going to free a fragment, make her wholly real. I'm going to face the God of gods, make him kneel. And I'm going to prove that even divine scripts can be edited. The Titan nodded. Then go. Time Walker, Reality Bender. The wound will remain open, for when you need escape. Escape? From what comes next? From the convergence. The God of gods has prepared for this moment. Even now, he moves. Phase 2 has begun. The ritual site awakens. Your lover heads there, compelled, unable to resist the call. No. Where? Kael demanded. The old throne, where the first divine king sat, where he plans to ascend, become something greater. Using you as the catalyst, using her as the anchor. How long do I have? Hours, maybe less. The convergence point approaches. Kael turned, started descending the sky stairs. One more thing, the Titan called. He paused, looked back. The God of gods, he allowed you to gather the seals, allowed you to grow strong, because he believes. Even with this power, you'll still dance his dance, still fulfill the prophecy he wrote. Prove him wrong, rewrite everything, or prove him right, and doom us all. Kael smiled, sharp, dangerous. I'll do neither. I'll do something he can't predict. Because that's what the Primordial Script is for, creating options, where none existed before. He descended rapidly, the city rushing up to meet him. 3 seals, 3 impossible words, the complete Primordial Script. He was ready for Serena, for the God of gods, for everything. The final battle approached, and this time, he was writing the ending. Not fate, not gods, not prophecy. Him. The sky above began to darken. Not night, something else. The convergence. Reality thinning. Dimensions colliding. The old throne manifesting. Where it all began, where it would all end, one way or another. He hit the ground running, toward destiny, toward her, toward the God who thought he controlled everything. Time to prove him wrong. Time to make gods kneel, all of them. He didn't make it far before it hit. The full integration of the 3 seals. His body seized, collapsed in an alley, every nerve burning, every cell rewriting. The Primordial Script was merging with his essence, becoming part of him. Permanently, his eyes opened. But what he saw, it wasn't normal vision anymore. Reality had layers now. The physical world, solid, tangible, but beneath it, through it, around it, other layers, other truths. He saw the divine script woven through everything. Words of power holding buildings together. Prayers creating invisible threads between people and gods. Fate lines connecting past to future. The entire world was text, written in divine language, and he could read it all. He stood slowly, looked at his hands. They pulsed with primordial light, faint but constant. The 3 seals visible on his chest, glowing through his shirt. Echo, undoing, becoming, united, complete. He took a step. Reality rippled, another step. The ground reshaped slightly beneath his feet. He was rewriting existence with every movement, had to focus, had to control it. Otherwise, he'd accidentally unmake the world just by walking. He centered himself, breathed. The power stabilized, still immense, but manageable. Now, to find Serena, he closed his eyes, focused on her, her essence, her unique signature. And there, a thread of light, leading across the city, her fate line. He followed it, moving faster now. The thread pulsed, urgent, being pulled. She was being summoned, compelled, unable to resist. He ran, the thread growing brighter. It led him to the old district, abandoned temples, and there, in the center, a massive structure manifesting the old throne. It wasn't fully real yet, phasing in and out, part divine realm, part physical world. The convergence point. He could see Serena now, walking toward it, her movements jerky, puppet-like, fighting, but losing. "Serena!" he shouted. She turned, tears streaming. "Kael, I can't stop. He's calling. I have to go." Her fate thread pulled tighter. He looked at it with his enhanced vision, followed it, traced it to its source, through the manifesting throne, beyond reality, to something massive, incomprehensible, the god of gods. But something was wrong. The thread didn't just connect to him, it was part of him. Serena wasn't a separate being borrowed by the god. She was the god, a piece that had been separated, like a finger or a hand, part of a larger whole, and when the god called, the part had to return. Not metaphorically, literally. She'd dissolve, merge back, cease to exist as an individual. Horror washed over him. "No," he whispered. He'd known she was a fragment, but he'd thought she was created, built, constructed. Not carved from the god's own being. Freeing her meant. What? Severing a god's limb? Creating a truly separate entity from divine flesh? Was that even possible? The word of becoming pulsed in his chest. Yes, it was possible. He could make her real, wholly independent. But the cost. The god of gods would feel it, like amputation, and he would retaliate. Absolutely. Serena stumbled, closer to the throne. "Kael, please. I don't want to stop existing. I finally feel alive, real. Don't let him take that away. Decision time. Save her. Start a war with the supreme deity, or let her go. Let her merge back, cease to be. No choice at all." He raised his hand, spoke the first word. The echo of the first word. Reality heard him, responded. The fate thread vibrated, strained. Serena gasped. "What are you doing?" "Giving you a choice. Real choice." He spoke the second word. The word of undoing. The divine binding. Holding her began to dissolve. The thread cracked. Fractured, but it fought back. Divine power resisting. The god of gods, already aware, already defending. Pressure built. Reality groaning under the strain. Kael gritted his teeth. Spoke the third word. The word of becoming. Not to destroy the thread. To rewrite it. To make Serena not a fragment, but a whole. Separate. Real being. Independent of the god. The three words. Combined. Harmonized. Power erupted from him. Pure primordial force, it wrapped around Serena. Enveloped her. She screamed. Body convulsing. The thread shattered. For a moment. Just a moment. She hung there. Between states. Fragment and individual. Divine and mortal. Nothing and everything. Then the word of becoming took hold. Her body solidified. Became real. Not divine construct. Not fragment. Human. Or close enough. She collapsed. Gasping. Crying. Kael caught her. Held her. "It's done. You're free." She looked at him, eyes wide. I can feel it. The connection. It's gone. He's not in my head anymore. I'm just me. Relief. Joy. Terror. All mixing together. Then the sky split. Not a small rift like before. The entire sky, torn open, a roar echoed. Shook the world. Rage. Pure divine rage. The god of gods. Feeling the amputation. Feeling his fragment stolen. Made independent. A voice boomed. Reality itself, trembling. "You dare." The old throne fully manifested, and through it, something descended. Light, blinding, infinite. A presence that made Kael's previous god encounter look like child's play. This was different. This was the real thing. The god of gods. Partially manifesting. Not fully. That would destroy the world. But enough. Enough to make a point. The light took vague humanoid form, massive, towering over the city. Every person in the capital felt it, fell to their knees, compelled by pure divine weight, except Kael and Serena, protected by the Primordial Script. "You have taken what is mine," the voice said, "severed part of my being, made it other. Do you understand what you have done?" Kael stood, faced the divine presence. "I freed someone, gave her choice, made her real. She was already real. She was me, and now she is herself. That's better." Laughter, terrible, amused. "You think you've won, saved her, defied me, but you've only accelerated the timeline. The ritual still requires you both, fragment or not. She still carries my essence, my mark, and you reek of primordial power. Together, you are the perfect catalyst." The light intensified. Phase 2 was preparation, building trust, making her love you. Phase 3, this moment, right now, where you'd try to save her. Use the script, where you'd show me your full power, so I could measure it, understand it, plan around it. No, you let me gather the seals, let me grow strong, so you could study me. Precisely. And now, I know your limits, your capabilities, know exactly how to harvest that power. Kyle's mind raced. Even freeing Serena, still part of the plan, still playing into divine hands. The convergence happens tonight, under the dying moon. You'll both be there, willing or broken, and I will ascend, become something greater. Using your primordial power, her unique essence, to transcend even godhood itself. The presence began to fade. Thank you for gathering the seals, for making this possible. You've been the perfect pawn. Gone. The sky closed. The throne vanished, leaving only silence and the crushing weight of realization. He'd been played. Every step. The rebellion, the trials, even freeing Serena. All of it, expected, planned, accounted for. She looked at him, still in his arms. "Kael, what do we do?" He helped her stand. "We do what he doesn't expect." But he said he's planned for everything. He planned for the Kael who plays by rules, who tries to save everyone, who hesitates. He looked at the spot where the throne had been. "So I won't hesitate. Won't try to save everyone. I'll burn it all down if I have to." Serena touched his face. "What does that mean?" "It means, tonight, at the convergence, I'm not going to fight the God of Gods. I'm going to unmake him, completely. Erase him from having ever existed. Even if it means rewriting all of reality. Even if it means losing everything we know." She nodded slowly. "Then we do it together. You and me, against a god, against the God of Gods. And whatever he becomes." He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. "I'm sorry for what comes next. Don't be. I chose this, really chose, for the first time. No regrets." They stood together, watching the sky. Somewhere, the dying moon rose, the convergence approached, and, with it, the final battle. One that would reshape existence itself, win or lose. Nothing would ever be the same. They had 3 hours until the convergence. Kael and Serena moved through the city, preparing, gathering allies, warning those who'd listen. Most thought them insane. A few believed. The old librarian. Some soldiers from his original timeline. People he'd saved by changing fate. They assembled at the edge of the old district. 20 fighters. Against a god. Pathetic odds. But it was something. Then reality stuttered. Time itself hiccuped. Everyone froze. Except Kael. And a figure materializing in front of him. Tall. Impossible. Made of intersecting timelines. Each moment of its existence, happening simultaneously, past, present, future, all at once, the god of fate. Its voice echoed from multiple moments. Kael ardent. The anomaly. The disruption. You've broken so many predetermined outcomes, created paradoxes. Shattered causality. Kael activated the seals, power flowing. Good. Fate should be broken. The god's form shifted, showing different versions of itself. You don't understand. Fate isn't tyranny. It's structure. Without it, reality collapses into chaos. Every choice you've made, every timeline you've altered, creates fractures, instabilities. It raised a hand. Time rippled. Let me show you what you've wrought. Suddenly, Kael wasn't there. He was. Somewhere else. Someone else. A different timeline. He stood in a ruined capital. Bodies everywhere. The city burning. This version of him. He'd saved Serena differently. Too early. Before gathering the seals, the gods had responded. Destroyed everything. The vision shifted. Another timeline. He'd ignored Serena completely. Focused only on power. Gathered all 3 seals. Became unstoppable, but alone. Bitter. Empty. Eventually mad with power. Destroying the very world he'd tried to save. Shift again. He'd surrendered to the god of gods. Accepted his role in the ritual. Everyone lived. The gods won. Humanity enslaved. Forever. Timeline. After timeline. All showing failure. Different kinds. Different costs. But failure nonetheless. You see? The god of fate said. Every path leads to ruin. Except one. The path I wrote. Where you play your part, the ritual completes. And balance is maintained. Kael forced himself back to his timeline. Spoke the word of undoing. The visions shattered. Your predetermined path still ends with me as a sacrifice. Still ends with the god of gods winning. That's not balance. That's submission. The god of fate's form solidified, became more concrete, more dangerous. Then you choose chaos. Choose entropy. So be it. It attacked, but not with power, with time itself. Kael's body aged. Decades in seconds. Gray hair, wrinkled skin, weakening muscles. He gasped, fought back, spoke the word of becoming, rewrote his age, made himself young. Again, the god smiled. Multiple versions at once. Clever. But can you maintain that? Forever, it attacked again. This time. Showing him alternate versions of this fight. Versions where he lost, died, failed. Thousands of them. All happening simultaneously. Each death real. Each failure tangible. His mind fractured. Couldn't process them all, Serena screamed. Kael! She tried to help, but couldn't move. Time around her frozen solid. The god focused entirely on him now. In every timeline. Every possibility. You lose. I've seen them all. Calculated every outcome. You cannot win. Kael's consciousness split across timelines, each version of him fighting, struggling, dying. The god of fate was right in every timeline. He lost unless he stopped fighting in timelines and fought outside them. He spoke all 3 words together. Echo. Undoing. Becoming. The primordial script at full power. Not targeting the god. Targeting the concept of predetermined outcome. Unmaking. The very idea of inevitable fate. Reality screamed. The timelines, all of them, collapsed, converged into this single moment, this single choice. The god of fate stumbled. What? What are you doing? Rewriting the rules. If every timeline shows me losing, then I'll exist outside timelines, in a state of pure possibility. He activated the word of becoming, made himself undefined, not locked to any single outcome, quantum, fluid, impossible to predict. The god reached for him, but couldn't grasp. He was there, and not there, both and neither. This is impossible. You're breaking causality. Good, Kael said from everywhere and nowhere. He reformed. Solid again, but different. Changed. His existence no longer bound by linear time. You can't see my future anymore. Can you? The god of fate tried. Failed. For the first time in its existence. It couldn't see what came next. Terror. Actual terror. In its shifting eyes. You've made yourself unpredictable, an anomaly even I cannot account for, Kael advanced, reality bending with each step. Tell me, God of fate, what happens when fate itself has no answer? He spoke the words, directly at the god, unmaking its predetermined nature, becoming something it had never considered. The god's form cracked, timelines bleeding out. It tried to retreat, to flee across time. But Kael was faster. He existed in all, moments simultaneously now. Everywhere the god went, he was already there. Kneel, he commanded, speaking with the voice of creation itself. The god of fate collapsed. First one knee, then both. Head bowed. This wasn't written, it whispered. Nothing about you is written anymore. You've become something outside the script, outside even the primordial script. Time unfroze. The world resumed. Serena gasped, seeing the god kneeling. The gathered fighters stared, speechless. Two gods. Two had kneeled to him now. Kael stood over the god of fate. Before you go, answer me this. The ritual, the convergence, what's its real purpose? The god looked up, broken, defeated, the god of gods. He seeks to transcend, become something beyond deity, beyond existence. The primordial script's power, combined with his own, would let him rewrite everything. All realities, all timelines, all possibilities. Under his absolute control, Kael's blood ran cold. He'd become, what? God of creation itself? Worse, he'd become creation, the universe, everything, total, absolute, eternal dominion. And the sacrifice? Me and Serena? The god hesitated. Your primordial power fuels the ascension. Her essence, his severed fragment, anchors it. Together, you complete the circuit. Allow him to expand, infinitely. Can it be stopped? Silence, then. Not by fighting him directly. He's too strong, too prepared. But the ritual requires willing participation, or at least, emotional investment. If you felt nothing, if she felt nothing, the anchor wouldn't hold. Serena stepped forward. But I do feel. I love him. Then the ritual will work, the god said simply. Kael processed this, mind racing, the convergence, the ritual, everything. It all hinged on emotion, connection. Breaking that would stop it. But that meant destroying what they'd fought for. The very freedom, the very love. Impossible choice. Again. There's another way, he said slowly. What if we give him what he wants, but rewrite it, change the ritual from inside? The god of fate looked up, curious. You'd participate willingly? We'd make him think we are, play along. Then, at the critical moment, use the script, unmake him completely. Risky, if you fail. He absorbs you, wins everything. If we don't try, he wins anyway. The god considered. You've surprised me twice now. Broken fate itself. Perhaps you can surprise him too. It stood, still kneeling, but less diminished. I'll help, in my own way. When the convergence happens, I'll slow time around you. Give you one extra moment, one additional second, to act, to choose, to rewrite. Why help us? Serena asked. The god looked at her, really looked. Because I'm tired of predetermined outcomes, of knowing how everything ends. You, both of you, you're chaos, possibility, and I prefer that. To certainty. It faded, dissolving into scattered timelines. Gone. But the promise remained. One extra second. Against a god who'd planned for eternity. Maybe it would be enough. Kael turned to Serena. Are you ready for what comes next? She took his hand. We walk into the ritual, pretend to comply, then unmake a god from the inside. Yes, we could die. Worse than die. Cease to exist. I know. He pulled her close. I love you. That's real. No matter what he planned, I love you too. That's my choice, not his. They stood there, holding each other, while the dying moon rose higher, the convergence approaching. 2 hours left. Then, everything. Victory or oblivion. Freedom or eternal slavery. They'd know soon. But for now, they had each other. And 3 words of impossible power and 1 extra second against infinity itself. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. 1 hour until convergence. They stood in the ruins of an old garden, their meeting place, from the original timeline where he'd first kissed her, told her he loved her, before everything went wrong. Now, on the edge of everything ending, they returned. The moon hung low, dying, blood red. Kael watched Serena, really watched, with his enhanced vision. He could still see traces, divine essence, fading, but present. She'd never be fully human, not completely, but she was herself, separate, real. I need to know something, he said quietly. She turned. Anything. When you were still, connected to him, part of him. Did you have any control? Any choice? Her expression darkened. I remember it now, more clearly since you freed me. She sat on a broken bench. He joined her. I was conscious, aware, but distant. Like watching my life through thick glass. I could see, feel, experience, but not truly choose. Every word I said, every smile, every touch. Part of me meant it, but another part, his part, guided it, shaped it, controlled it. Kael's chest tightened. So when you said you loved me, back then, was that you or him? Tears formed in her eyes. I don't know. That's the horrible truth. I don't know. The feelings felt real. They still do. But were they mine? Or implanted? Or his will expressed through me? She looked at him. Desperate. Even now. Free. I wonder. Did I fall in love with you because I chose to? Or because that's what I was designed to do? Does it even matter? He took her hand. Yes. It matters. Because if it's real, if you truly chose, then what we're about to do, it's worth it. And if it's not real? Silence. He didn't have an answer. She laughed bitterly. You know what the worst part is? I think I started becoming real. Started choosing. Somewhere along the way, the act became truth. Playing at love turned into actual love. The fragment gained awareness, desire, will, and the God of gods. He knew, he felt it happening, but he let it continue because it made me more effective, made the trap more convincing. Kael remembered the letters, the correspondence, emotional binding. That's what they called it. Yes, the more I loved you, the stronger the anchor, the more willing you'd be to sacrifice, to save me. It's elegant, horrible, but elegant. She stood, paced. After you freed me, when the connection broke, I felt empty for a moment, like part of my soul had been ripped away. Because it had. He was literally part of me. But then, something else filled that space. She turned to him, eyes shining. Choice, real choice, for the first time ever. And I chose to keep loving you. Not because I was designed to, not because he willed it, because I wanted to, because you gave me freedom, because you risked everything to make me real. Kael stood, crossed to her. I need you to understand something. When I freed you, I knew the cost, knew it would alert him, accelerate everything, knew it might doom us both. I did it anyway. Why? She whispered. Because some things are worth the cost. Your freedom, your choice, your reality. Even if it means we lose. We lose fighting for something real. She touched his face. Fingers trembling. I'm scared, terrified actually. Of dying? No. Worse, of returning to him. The ritual, if it works, if he wins. Will I cease being me? Go back to being a finger, a fragment? Will I forget? Forget this moment? Forget choosing you? Her voice broke. I don't want to stop existing as myself. Even if myself is messy, uncertain, afraid. It's mine. Finally mine. Kael pulled her close, held her. You won't. I promise. If the ritual starts, if he tries to reclaim you, I'll unmake him first. Burn the whole script. Rewrite reality itself if I have to. You'll stay you, or there won't be anything left. She buried her face in his chest, shaking. Do you think? In another timeline, another possibility, we could have been normal, met at that festival, fallen in love, simply, easily, without gods, without scripts, without cosmic manipulation. He kissed her hair. Maybe, probably, somewhere. But I wouldn't trade this version, this timeline. Because in those other timelines, the love might be simpler, but it wouldn't have survived what we survived. Wouldn't have been tested, forged, made unbreakable. She looked up. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what was it all for? They stood there, holding each other, the moon descending, the convergence approaching. Kael, if we don't make it, don't. No. Listen, if we don't make it, I want you to know, these last moments, this choice, being real, being free, being myself, it was worth it. All of it. Even the fear, even the uncertainty, because I got to choose you. Really choose. Tears ran down his face now, and I choose you. Every time, every timeline. Original or rewritten, predestined or impossible, you, just you. She kissed him, desperate, fierce, real. Everything they couldn't say, poured into that moment, when they parted. Both were crying. Should go, she said. It's almost time. Wait. One more thing. He reached into his pocket, pulled out something small, a ring. Simple, unadorned. I bought this, in the original timeline. Was going to propose, the day of the betrayal. Never got the chance, but I kept it, through the regression, through everything. Serena, I know timing is terrible. We might die in an hour, but will you marry me? In whatever timeline we end up in, however this ends. She stared, then laughed, cried. Both. Yes. Yes, obviously, yes. He slipped it on her finger. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. Some things transcended scripts. They held each other. One last moment, then turned toward the old throne, toward the convergence, toward the God of gods. Hand in hand, chosen, not fated, real, not scripted. Together. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. And if the universe itself had to burn, if reality had to be unmade and rewritten, so, be it, love, real love, chosen love, was worth any cost. The dying moon touched the horizon, the air shimmered, reality thinned, the convergence. Beginning, now. The old throne fully manifested. A structure of impossible geometry, part temple, part palace, part cosmic nightmare. It dominated the old district, towering, pulsing. Kael and Serena approached slowly. His enhanced vision showed the truth. Divine. Energy pouring from 5 sources, converging on the throne. 5 gods, supporting the ritual. There, he pointed. See those pillars? Serena nodded. She could see them too now, freed from the God of gods. Her perception had changed, each one anchored by a deity. God of war, God of tyranny, God of chains, God of sacrifice, God of the end. All working together, powering this. Behind them, the gathered fighters assembled. 20 souls, brave or foolish, maybe both. The old librarian stepped forward. We stand with you. Whatever comes. Kael shook his head. This isn't your fight. It's everyone's fight. If he ascends, if he becomes everything, we all lose. All of existence loses. A soldier spoke. Up. You saved my life, changed my fate. Let me repay that. Others nodded, murmured agreement. People he'd helped, lives he'd changed, all here, ready to face gods. Kael felt something in his chest. Not the seals, something else. Hope. Fragile, but real. All right, but listen carefully. The 5 gods, they're maintaining the pillars, channeling power to the throne. We need to disrupt them, break their concentration, even for a moment. The librarians studied the structure. Divide our forces, 5 groups? No. They'd crush us individually, Kael thought. Mind racing. We need to make them choose between maintaining the ritual and defending themselves. How? Serena asked. He looked at her, then at the fighters. We give them a target, something they can't ignore. Me, walking right into the throne. That's suicide, a soldier protested. Maybe, but it'll force their hand. The God of Gods wants me alive for the ritual, so they can't kill me, only capture. That limits them, gives us an opening. Serena grabbed his arm. And what about me? You stay with them. Lead the assault on the pillars. While the gods are focused on me, you strike, break their concentration, collapse the ritual structure. She shook her head. No, we go together. That was the plan. The plan changed. If we both walk in, we both get trapped. But if you're outside, you can use the word of undoing. Dissolve the pillars. Free me if I'm caught. Her jaw tightened. I don't like it. Neither do I. But it's our best chance. The librarian cleared his throat. There's one more problem. The ritual. It requires both of you. Willing participation. If you're fighting, resisting. Can it even work? Kael smiled grimly. That's what we're counting on. The God of Gods thinks we'll surrender, eventually. Thinks fear or pain will break us. He's wrong. He turned to address everyone. Here's what happens. I go in, draw their attention. Serena leads you to the pillars. You attack, hard and fast. Don't try to kill the gods. You can't. Just disrupt them. Make them lose focus. When the ritual structure weakens, I'll use the script. Unmake the throne from inside. And the God of Gods? Someone asked. Silence. Then Serena spoke. We unmake him too. All of him. Completely. Erase him from having ever existed. Gasps. Murmurs. Can you do that? The librarian asked. Kael met his eyes. I don't know, but I'll die trying. The dying moon touched the horizon fully. The throne pulsed. Brighter. Demanding. Time was up. Positions. Now. The fighters scattered, moving to their assigned pillars. Serena lingered, looking at him. If this goes wrong, he kissed her. Cut off. The words. It won't. We chose this. We choose each other. That's stronger than any script. She touched the ring on her finger. Come back to me. Always. She ran, joining the others. He watched her go, then turned, faced the throne, alone. His 3 seals burned. Ready. The primordial script humming in his soul. He walked forward, each step deliberate, purposeful. The throne's entrance yawned open. Inside, darkness, and something waiting. He crossed the threshold immediately. Pressure, divine weight crushing down. The 5 gods materialized around him. God of war, massive, armored, burning. God of tyranny, crowned, imperious, cold. God of chains, wrapped in bindings, skeletal. God of sacrifice, robed, bleeding, serene. God of the end, shadowed, inevitable, silent. They formed a circle, trapping him. Kael ardent. The God of war spoke first. The mortal who thinks himself our equal. Not your equal. You're better. Tyranny laughed. Such arrogance. We are eternal. Eternity means nothing. If you're still slaves. Slaves? Chains hissed. We are the masters of this world. No. You're servants. To him. To the Radiant One. Dancing on his strings, just like everyone else. Silence. Uncomfortable. Because it was true. Outside. Sounds. Of battle. Serena and the fighters. Attacking the pillars. The gods tensed. Distracted. Perfect. Kael activated the echo. Spoke the first word. Reality rippled. The throne shook. Stop him, War commanded. They attacked. All at once, divine fire, tyrannical command, chains of fate, sacrificial blood magic, the ending of all things, overwhelming, crushing, he countered. Word after word, undoing their attacks, rewriting reality around him. But 5 gods, even weakened by divided attention. Too much. A chain caught his arm. Burned, he screamed. Spoke the undoing. The chain dissolved. Outside, an explosion. The first pillar cracked, faltered. God of War roared, turned, his concentration broken. The circle weakened. Kael pressed the advantage, spoke the word of becoming, created a barrier, pushed. Them back. Another pillar fell, then another. The gods panicked, torn, maintain the ritual. Or stop the assault. They couldn't do both. Enough, a voice boomed. Not from the gods, from deeper. Within the throne, everything stopped. The God of gods, speaking directly. My children, step aside. Let him come. Let them both come. The ritual doesn't require their willing participation. Just their presence, their essence. I lied, as gods do. Horror washed over Kael. The entire plan, based on false information. Outside, Serena felt it too. The trap, closing, suddenly. The throne shifted. Serena, pulled inside, against her will. The remaining fighters, frozen, unable to move. She materialized beside Kael, struggling. No, Kael. It was a trap. The 5 gods bowed, retreated, their part done. The throne's inner chamber opened, revealing the center, the heart, where the God of gods waited, in his true form, not the towering light from before, something worse, more intimate, more terrible, almost human-shaped, but wrong, made of condensed reality, compressed divinity, every atom screaming with power. Welcome, both of you, to the end and the beginning. You've played your parts beautifully. The ritual circle activated, ancient. Symbols, primordial and divine mixed, trapping them, binding them. Now, let us begin. The ascension, where I become everything. Kael grabbed Serena's hand. The god of fate's promise. 1 extra second. That's all they had, 1 moment, to act, to rewrite, to unmake, to save everything, or lose it all forever. The ritual. Beginning. Now. The ritual circle blazed to life. Ancient symbols carved themselves into reality, binding, draining, pulling. Kael felt it immediately. The script's power, being siphoned away, drawn into the throne, into the God of gods. Serena screamed, her essence, tearing, being pulled back, toward the source. No, Kael roared. He grabbed her, held tight, spoke the word of undoing. The symbols cracked, but didn't break. Too strong. Too many layers. The God of gods laughed. Did you think it would be that simple? This ritual I've prepared for millennia, accounted for every possibility, every resistance. Even the Primordial Script is just another tool. One I'll claim, through you. The 5 gods stepped forward, forming a secondary circle, reinforcing war, tyranny, chains, sacrifice, end, all channeling power, supporting their master. Outside, the fighters unfroze. Serena's earlier assault had weakened the gods' control. The librarian rallied them. Attack! Now! They charged. 20 mortals against divine armies. Because yes, armies had appeared. Lesser divine beings, manifestations, constructs, hundreds of them, defending the pillars. The old librarian wielded a blessed sword, cutting through ethereal warriors, Soldiers fought beside him, desperate, brave, knowing they'd likely die, but fighting anyway, inside the throne. Kael struggled, the ritual pulled harder, his seals burning, Serena's form flickering, becoming translucent, merging back, losing definition. Kael, I can't. I'm disappearing. No, stay with me, stay real. He poured power into her, the word of becoming, rewriting her existence, again and again. But it was like holding water. She kept slipping away. The god of gods watched, amused, touching, but futile. She was always mine, always part of me. Your little separation trick. Temporary. Now, she returns, becomes whole again. Kael's mind raced, desperate. The god of fate's promise. One extra second. But when? How would he know? Then he felt it. A shift. Subtle. Reality stuttering. The god of fate. Keeping his word. Time. Slowing. Just barely. 1 second. Stretched into 2. Into 3. Everything moved like honey. Except Kael. The script protected him. Kept him normal speed. This was it. His only chance. He released Serena. Let her drift. She looked terrified. Kael? What? Trust me. He turned, faced the 5 gods. They moved slowly, confused by the time distortion. Perfect. He spoke all 3. Words. Simultaneously, echo. Undoing. Becoming. The primordial script at absolute maximum. Reality itself screamed. He targeted God of Chains first, closest, most vulnerable. The word of undoing hit like a hammer. The god's form, made of eternal bindings, started. Dissolving, chains breaking, one by one. No, impossible. I am eternal. The chains shattered completely. The god collapsed, both knees hitting stone, kneeling. You're just a mortal. Wrong, I'm whatever I choose to be. 1 down, 4 to go. God of sacrifice lunged, blade of holy suffering raised. Kael spoke the echo, the first word resonating. The blade turned to light, harmless. He grabbed the god's arm. Physical contact. Channeled the word of becoming directly. Rewrote the concept of sacrifice. Made it voluntary, not compulsory. The god's entire existence, based on forced offering, collapsed. It fell, kneeling beside chains. What have you done? What? 2 down. God of the end rushed forward, silent, inevitable. Death incarnate. This one was harder. Death couldn't be undone. It was fundamental, necessary. But the timing could be changed. Kael spoke the words, not to unmake death, but to postpone it, delay it, rewrite its schedule. The god froze, caught between moments, neither coming nor going, suspended. It toppled, slowly, knees bending. 3 gods kneeling now, outside. The fighters saw it. Hope surged. They pushed harder, breaking through divine armies, reaching the pillars. The librarian reached one, shattered it with blessed steel. Divine energy erupted, backlashed. The god of tyranny screamed, power faltering. Inside, tyranny turned, distracted. Fatal mistake. Kael was already moving. The word of undoing, targeted at authority itself. Tyranny's crown, symbol of absolute rule, dissolved, turned to dust. Without it, the god was nothing, just another voice. With no power to command, it stumbled, fell, knees hitting ground. 4 down, 1 left. God of war, the strongest, the most direct. It roared, a sound that shook reality. You think you've won? I am war itself, conflict eternal, destruction incarnate. It unleashed everything, divine fire, weapons of pure energy, annihilation force, enough to destroy cities, countries, worlds. Kael stood firm, spoke all 3 words as one. The attacks hit, an invisible wall, not blocked, transformed. War became peace, destruction became creation, every concept, reversed, rewritten. The god of war stared, in comprehension. My power. Where is my... War only exists because we believe in it. I'm choosing to believe in something else. The god's form flickered. Weakened, Kael stepped forward, placed his hand on its chest. Kneel. The word of becoming. Making it truth. The god of war, mightiest of the five, knees bent, head bowed, kneeling, all five, defeated. The crowd outside went wild, cheering, crying. They'd done it. Mortals had made gods kneel, but Kael knew this wasn't the end. The god of gods still stood, still smiled. Impressive, truly. You've surpassed every expectation. Made my children bow, disrupted the ritual. All in 3 seconds. Remarkable. 3 seconds. Time had returned to normal. The god of fate's gift. Spent. But, ultimately, pointless. The god of gods raised his hand. The 5 kneeling gods. Dissolved. Their essence. Absorbed. Reclaimed. He'd just consumed them. His own servants. His own children. To regain the power Kael had disrupted. Did you think they mattered? They were always expendable. Extensions of my will. Nothing more. He grew brighter. Larger. The absorbed power. Making him stronger. And now, the ritual completes. With or without them, the circle blazed. Hotter. Hungrier. Serena screamed. Her form almost gone. Merging. Disappearing. Kael reached for her, but couldn't touch. She was becoming. Energy. Light. Returning. To the source. No. No. Serena. He poured everything into the words, trying to hold her. Keep her real, but the god of gods was too strong. The ritual. Too perfect. You see? This was always the outcome. I allowed you power. Let you grow strong. So when I harvest you, I gain everything. The primordial script, combined with my divinity, will make me omnipotent. Not just God over this world, but all worlds, all realities, all possibilities. I will be existence itself. The throne pulsed. Reality warping, Kael felt it. The script being torn from his soul, pulled, extracted, stolen. Pain, unimaginable pain. His seals cracking, breaking. Everything he'd fought for, slipping away. Serena. Almost gone. Just a whisper of light. Her voice, fading. Kael, I'm sorry. I tried. I love... No! Something inside him broke. Not the seals, something deeper. His human limitations. The part that said, this is impossible. The part that accepted. Gods are stronger. It shattered, and what remained was choice. Pure. Absolute. The choice to rewrite everything. He opened his eyes. They glowed. Pure primordial light. You're right. This was always going to happen. The ritual, the convergence, the harvest. The god of gods paused. What? You planned this perfectly. Every step. But you made one mistake. Kael stood. The ritual couldn't hold him anymore. You forgot. The primordial script isn't about power. It's about possibility, creation, choice. You wanted to harvest it, claim it as yours. But you can't, because it's not a thing. It's a concept, an idea. The idea that reality can be written and rewritten. He reached into his chest, grabbed his own seals. The god of gods' eyes widened. What are you want the script? Take it. He tore them out. His own seals, blood, light, power, pouring out and through them. At the god of gods caught them. Automatically, then. Horror. No, this isn't. You didn't just... I did. I gave you what you wanted. The complete primordial script. Along with something extra. The seals. Inside the god now. Started. Rewriting from the inside. You absorbed your children, claimed their power. Now, absorb mine, if you can. The god of gods convulsed. The script was unmaking him from within, where he couldn't defend. No, I am eternal. I am... You are what I write you to be. Kael's form, still glowing, even sealless, because he'd become the script itself. Internalized, it, merged with it completely. And I write, that you kneel, the god of gods, the radiant one, the first light, the being who'd planned for millennia, controlled everything, everyone. His knees, bent, impossibly, slowly, fighting every inch. But, inevitably, they touched the ground, the god of gods, kneeling to a mortal. The throne cracked. The ritual circle shattered. Serena's light stopped dissolving, reformed, solidified. She gasped, collapsed, but whole, real, separate, free, outside. The remaining divine armies vanished, the fighters, bloody, exhausted, victorious, cheered, wept, lived inside. Kael stood over the kneeling god. Now, let's talk about rewriting everything. Silence. Complete. Absolute. The god of gods. Kneeling. Head bowed. Form cracking from within. The primordial script. Unmaking him. Slowly. Kael stood over him, breathing hard. Blood dripping from where he'd torn the seals. But he was alive. Conscious. Aware. Serena crawled to him, grabbed his arm. Kael, your chest. The wound. He looked down. The 3 marks. Gone, just torn flesh, bleeding, but healing already. I'm fine. The script. It's not in the seals anymore. Where is it? He touched his head. His heart. Everywhere. I became it. It became me. We're one now. Completely. The god of gods laughed. Weakly. Clever. I taught you. Too well. Kael knelt. Met the god's eyes. Up close. He looked. Almost human. Tired. Old. Despite the divine radiance. Why? Kael asked. Why all of this? Why the manipulation? The ritual? The games? The god coughed, light spilling from his mouth. Because I was bored. Silence. Bored? Serena whispered. You're destroying yourself. Over boredom? You don't understand. Can't understand. Existing for eternity. Knowing everything, seeing all outcomes. It's prison, torture. The god looked up, met Kael's eyes. I've lived millions of years, billions. Watched civilizations rise, fall, rise again. Every story, every soul, every possibility. I've seen it, lived it, become numb to it. So I created experiments, tests, to see if anything could surprise me. If anyone could break free, choose differently. He smiled. Genuine. Sad. You did. You actually did. I wrote you to rebel, expected calculated defiance. But you did something I couldn't predict. You sacrificed your power to unmake me from within. That was new. That was real. Kael felt strange, conflicted. This being, this monster, who'd manipulated everything, was just lonely, desperate for something genuine. I could destroy you now, Kael said quietly. Erase you from ever existing. I know. The script inside you. It's rewriting your divine code. In minutes, you'll cease to be. Unless I stop it. The god nodded. Yes, unless you choose mercy. Which would also surprise me. Delight me even. Proof that mortals can be better than gods. Serena touched Kael's shoulder. What do you want to do? He thought, really thought. This being had caused so much pain, orchestrated the betrayal, the death, the suffering, deserved destruction. Absolutely. But wasn't he better than revenge? Hadn't that been the whole point? To choose, to be more than what was written. I'm going to stop the script, Kael said. The god's eyes widened. What? Why? Because someone needs to prove that mercy exists. That choice can lead somewhere. Other than violence. He placed his hand on the god's chest, spoke, softly. The word of becoming. The script inside stopped unmaking. Instead, rewrote differently. The god gasped, feeling it. What are you? What are you doing to me? Changing you, making you limited, stripping away your omniscience, your omnipotence, making you almost mortal. No, I can't. I need that. I am that. You said you wanted surprise, wanted something new. Try being mortal. Try not knowing what comes next. The light, fading from the god, his divine form, shrinking, solidifying, becoming, human-shaped, human-limited. He stood, shakily, looking at his hands. I can't see the future, can't feel everything. There are gaps, uncertainties, possibilities. He laughed, shocked, amazed. I don't know what happens next. Tears, actual tears, running down his face. Thank you. But then, his expression changed, became serious, concerned. Kael, there's something you need to know. I may be diminished, but I remember everything I knew. And there's a reason I sought more power. A reason I wanted to ascend, become everything. Kael tensed. What reason? There are things older than me, older than gods, things that existed before creation. The Primordial Script. It's not just words. It's a seal, a lock, keeping something out. Serena stepped closer. Out of what? Reality itself. This universe, all universes. The entities that wrote the script. They weren't benevolent. They were containing something. And when you use the script extensively, powerfully, you weaken that seal. Horror washed over Kael. You're saying, by using it, I'm opening a door. Yes. To what? The former god looked, genuinely afraid. Don't know, I could never see, past that threshold. But I felt them, stirring, watching, waiting. When you made me kneel, when you rewrote me, they noticed. For the first time in eons, they noticed this reality, this universe, and they're curious. Kael felt it then, distantly, something, beyond the stars, beyond space, vast, ancient, hungry, looking at them. What do we do? Serena asked. The former god shook his head. I don't know. For the first time, in my entire existence, I truly don't know. But you have something I never had. What? Choice, free will, the ability to create, new options. I played God, controlled everything, and it led to emptiness, to this. He gestured at his diminished form. You're making new paths, new possibilities. Maybe that's the answer. Not control, but creation. Kael looked at Serena, then at the former god. We'll figure it out. Together. Mortals and a former god. Against ancient entities. The former god smiled. Terrible odds. Impossible task. But I'm excited. To try. To not know if we'll succeed. Outside, the fighters were celebrating. The throne, crumbling, fading. The old librarian appeared. In the doorway. Is it over? Kael looked at the sky, at the stars, at the vast darkness between them, where something stirred, waking. No, it's just beginning. But then, he took Serena's hand, felt the ring on her finger. They'd won. Against impossible odds, made gods kneel, rewrote reality itself, whatever came next. They'd face it. Together, chosen, not fated, real, not scripted, free, the former god of gods, now just a man, stood beside them. So, what now? Kael smiled. Now, we rest, we heal, we rebuild, and when they come, whatever they are, we'll be ready, because we have something. They don't. What's that? Hope, love, choice, the ability to write our own ending, the throne, collapsed completely. Dust and memory, the convergence, over. The gods, defeated, humanity, free, for now. The sky began to lighten, dawn breaking. New day, a new era, where mortals wrote their own fate and gods learned to kneel, but in the distance, beyond sight, beyond understanding, something ancient, patient, watched, waited, and smiled. 3 weeks later, the capital, rebuilding, where the old throne had stood. Now, gardens, people planting, creating life, where gods had demanded sacrifice. Kael walked through them, alone with his thoughts, the wound on his chest, healed, leaving 3 faint scars, reminders of what he'd lost and gained. The primordial script, still inside him, but quieter now, dormant, waiting. He didn't use it. Hadn't since that night. Too dangerous, too much risk, every word. Weakened the seal. Let those ancient things see through. Better to leave it, sleeping. Children ran past him, laughing, playing. They didn't know, didn't understand what had almost happened, what he'd prevented. Good. Let them be innocent. Someone deserved to be. Kael. He turned. Serena, walking toward him. She looked different, better. Color in her cheeks, life in her eyes. Real life, not divine imitation. She'd been adjusting to truly being human or close enough. Hunger, tiredness, pain, joy, all of it. New, overwhelming. But she faced it with courage. You disappeared this morning, she said, taking his hand. The ring, still on her finger, needed to think. About? He gestured at the gardens, the city, the sky, everything. All of this. We won. Changed. The world. Made gods kneel. But it doesn't feel finished. She nodded. I feel it too. Like something's watching. Yes, exactly. They sat on a bench, overlooking the gardens, peaceful, quiet, almost normal. The former god. He's been helping, Serena said, teaching people about divine corruption, how to recognize it. How's he adjusting to being limited? She smiled. He loves it, says every morning. He's surprised he woke up. That uncertainty. It's addictive to him. Kael laughed. Never thought I'd see the day. A god, happy to be mortal. He's not fully mortal. Still has traces, knowledge. But yeah, he's content. Silence, comfortable, easy. Then she spoke, softer. Do you regret it, sparing him? Kael considered. No, I think he needed to change. Needed to understand what he'd done. Erasing him. That would have been easier, not better. You're wiser than I gave you credit for. I had a good teacher. She looked confused. Who? You. Your struggle. To be real. To choose. That taught me. More than any trial. She leaned against him, head on his shoulder. What happens now? To us? I don't know. That's terrifying and wonderful. No predetermined fate. No script to follow. Just choices. Endless choices. Do you think we'll get married? Have a life? He kissed her hair. I hope so. But, I keep feeling like we're waiting for what's next, for what's coming. She sat up, looked at him. The ancient entities, the ones beyond the seal. You think they'll come? I know they will, someday. The former god said. They noticed us. Things like that. They don't just forget. Then we prepare, build defenses, find allies. Kael shook his head. I don't think we can defend against them. Not in the traditional way. Then what? We evolve, grow, become something they can't predict. Like you did with the god of gods. Exactly. The script, it's about possibility, creating new options where none existed. Whatever they are, however powerful, we'll find a way through. She took both his hands. Together, always together. A messenger approached. Bowing. Lord Kael, Lady Serena, the council requests your presence. Tell them we'll be there shortly. The messenger left. Kael sighed. Council meetings. Never thought that would be my life. They need guidance. You, defeated gods, you're a symbol. I just want peace, normalcy. We'll get there, eventually. They stood, started walking, toward the council chambers. Around them, life, continuing, people, living, loving, choosing, free. From divine manipulation, it was beautiful. But Kael couldn't shake the feeling in the back of his mind, behind his eyes. Something vast, patient, ancient, watching, not malevolent, not yet, just curious, like a child, looking at an anthill, wondering, what happens if I poke it? He pushed the thought away, focused on Serena, on her hand, in his, on the life they were building. Whatever came, whatever horrors lurked, beyond reality's edge, they'd face it when it arrived, not before. For now, they had this, stolen moments, genuine choices, real love. That was enough, had to be enough. The council chambers, ahead, filled with former nobles, soldiers, scholars, people, trying to rebuild a world without gods. It wouldn't be easy. Centuries of divine influence didn't vanish overnight, but they'd try. Together, mortals, writing their own story for the first time ever before entering. Kael paused, looked at Serena. Thank you. For what? For being real. For choosing me. For making all of this worth it. She smiled, genuine, warm, human. I'd choose you. Again, every time they entered, together, hand in hand, ready for whatever came next. The council, the rebuilding, the future, all of it, uncertain, all of it, theirs to write. And in the vast, infinite darkness, beyond the stars, something stirred, smiled, and waited, patient, eternal, knowing. Eventually, they'd meet. 6 months later, a small house, on the city's edge, simple, quiet, home. Kael stood in the garden, teaching 5 students, young, eager, learning. Not the primordial script, too dangerous, but how to think differently, choose freely, how to recognize divine manipulation, predetermined fate, how to write their own stories. Serena appeared, carrying tea. She'd learned to cook, badly, but enthusiastically. The students loved her, despite the burnt bread. Break time, she announced. They scattered. Grateful, Kael joined her, on the porch. You're a natural teacher, she said. They're good students, willing to question everything. Like someone I know. He smiled. Took the tea. It was perfect. This life, small, insignificant, mortal, everything he'd fought for. Have you felt it? She asked. Quieter? The watching? Yes. Getting stronger. Closer. She nodded. Me too. Do you think? The sky rippled, not violently, just a shimmer like reality. Taking a breath, both of them looked up, there, in the space between stars. Something moving, not entering, not yet, just pressing, testing, the seal, weakening. Students came running back, frightened. What is that? One asked. Kael didn't answer immediately. He looked at Serena. She looked back, and, despite everything, despite the cosmic threat, they smiled. Not from happiness, from understanding. They'd built this peace, this freedom, worth protecting, worth fighting for. It's a reminder, Kael said finally, that the fight is never truly over. What do we do? A student asked. Serena took Kael's hand. We face it, together. We teach, We prepare. We choose. We don't bow. Don't surrender, Kael added. We write our own ending. Like you taught us? Exactly. Like we taught you. The sky rippled again, stronger, more insistent. Whatever was coming was getting impatient. Kael activated, just slightly. The script felt it. Respond. Ready. Serena's eyes glowed faintly. Divine remnant. Awakening, the former god of gods, appeared at the gate. You feel it too. Hard to miss. They're coming. Soon. I know. Are you ready? Kael looked at Serena, the students, his home, at everything. Worth protecting. No, but we'll try anyway. The three of them stood together. Mortal, former god, divine fragment made real. Impossible. Alliance against impossible odds. Serena squeezed his hand. Here we go again. He squeezed back. Here we go again. The sky darkened, not night, something else. And in the distance, beyond reality, beyond understanding, they came. Finally, the ancient ones, the writers of the Primordial Script, coming to reclaim their creation or destroy those who'd mastered it. Either way, the story continued, and this time, no one knew the ending, and that's where we leave them. Kael, the man who made gods kneel. Serena, the fragment who became real. Standing together against the unknown. A hero who rewrote fate itself. A love that transcended divine manipulation. And a future completely unwritten, from betrayal to regression to redemption, from powerless to unstoppable, from scripted to free. This is what happens when you refuse to accept the story you're given, when you choose to write your own ending. Even if gods stand in your way, even if reality itself says it's impossible, you rewrite it anyway, because some things are worth any cost. Freedom, love, choice, the ability to kneel to no one. Not fate, not gods, not predetermined destiny. Just your own will, your own path, your own story. Thanks for joining me on this incredible 2-hour journey. If you enjoyed watching Kael's story unfold, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic manhwa recaps just like this one. What did you think? Did you survive making gods kneel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, your story is yours to write. Until next time.